Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
We some lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let them boys get loose. It's a new day, Honolulu Blue got the boys on a cruise.
And we are back. Just like Lazarus, we are back from the dead. How is everybody doing?
Good, Nate.
I like that.
Sunday's appropriate, huh? Okay.
I was thinking that in my head like the last 2 days. Well, we are back again. Yes, we are back again. It is off season, new season for all of us. The season starts 0-0. Nobody is a winner now. Everybody starts fresh. And yeah, we're excited to be back. We feel like we've kind of been on a hiatus for maybe about 2 or 3 months, just kind of getting the show ramped up again, increasing it, making it better. So we're super excited for the new season. We're glad to have Sonia here starting off the first show. So thank you, Sonia, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm introduce my crew here. I am your host, Nate the Great, and I have my two. Whoever wants to go first, introduce yourself.
Got Jay right here.
Yeah, for the people in the back, say it loud. Say it loud. It's loud and proud. There you go. All right. Well, it was good to see y'all, man. I know we've kind of had some meetings, and I know we've kind of talked on the phone a couple of times.
Hey, Brent.
Hey, Brent, how you doing? Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
I'm excited to be back, y'all. I nothing excites me more than talking about Lions and today Panthers. So yeah, we're just gonna dive into it. So Sonia, since you are a guest, we are going to start with your Panthers. Tell us, how you feeling going into this season? What are your thoughts? What are your expectations? What's on your mind about the Panthers? Shoot.
Okay, and I'm just going to take my background down because it feels like I'm disappearing in part of it. So first of all, good afternoon. So great to be here today. Of course, I'm Sonia, and I am the founder of the Carolina Panthers and huge Panthers fan extraordinaire. The Panthers O-line has just been the talk of the town for the last couple of seasons. And so, of course, it's going to be very important to build around Bryce, B.O.B., the new B.O.B., because
B-O-B,
it's
like that.
Well, B.A.B., I guess, but build around Fab. But Bryce actually did really well as the season started to come to an end. And so we look at that and we think about we need a wide receiver. Of course, Adam Thielen is coming back as a tight end. We're so excited about that. They've extended him. But we do need to get another wide receiver because we have not added one. We do need another tight end because Thielen's not there always. We need a pass rusher. They did add Pat Jones. Recently, Pat Jones II,
Yeah,
and then
Minnesota.
we also are going to need a cornerback. The last time we added was Lonnie Johnson Jr., and then we did add safeties Trayvon Mooring and Xavier Woods.
Oh yeah, I like Mooring from the Raiders. Yeah, he was a big guy. I like that at TCU. Yeah, that's a good signing.
I got you.
Just a
How do you feel about extension of J.C. Horn?
Oh,
yeah, talk about that.
Super excited. I mean, talk about getting on the horn. I would like to see him, get some more notice, some more clout. We've had him in and out a little bit. I think he was battling like a small injury early on, but he's all systems go. We're excited to have him back. He got paid buku money.
Oh, yeah. He's like one of the top cornerbacks, top nickel cornerbacks, I think, in the NFL, or is that what it was, or just overall?
He is, and that's what I was about to say. And so having him there is going to be really, really, really good. I would like to see more work with Xavier Worthy. I would like to see him get better. Excuse me, Leggett, my bad.
Leggett. I like Leggett, yeah.
Leggett. You're like, y'all got Worthy?
Breaking news.
No, we didn't get no Worthy. I'm sorry, guys. We are trying to get the worth out of our own Xavier, which is Leggett. He was kind of jumble hands at some points, not really solidifying those catches. And so as a result, we saw him being targeted less. It's going to be interesting to see if we get Jacob back in action. He was out. He was also the person we drafted last year. The draft this year is going to be great because we finally paid Chicago in full for Bryce from 2 years ago. So they're going to get the first pick of our second round, and then we are paid in full. So the rest of our drafts are ours. So the first draft, of course, belongs to us. I'm super excited about that. And it's nothing like paying your debts off and, being free. Hopefully we don't get ourselves in a situation where we're going after other top drafts. I really want us to kind of focus on getting veterans that are tried and true from other teams. I've heard Kyle Pitts is up for grabs from the Falcons. Even though
that would be a good move. Y'all need a tight end, and he's a weapon.
Absolutely. He'd be a weapon for us, even though he's kind of worn his, shoes thin in Atlanta, so to speak. So getting him or someone like him, those type of calibers would be great. Also heard that Dodert from Dodert, maybe
Goddard.
Goddard. Yeah.
Goddard. That would be another. That would be another player. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard he's possibly on the chopping block as well. So I think if we could just kind of tap into a couple of veterans in the league and continue to build around Bryce, I think in another year we'll be a really, really solid contender for the playoffs. And in fact, I even think this year we're going to be looking more improved as well.
Yeah, and also too, I want to add on J.C. Horn. Just his best year was last year, which is great. Whenever you want to pay a player, you want his best year to be the year you pay him is his best year, and then going forward, he has 68 combined tackles, 19 assists, 2 sacks, and an interception. So obviously, the interceptions you want to see those get up. 2 sacks is impressive. Tackles are good, So they're paying him like he's going to be a stalwart on that defense. So. I'm still a little shocked that y'all got rid of Burns.
That's not even.
I liked Burns, but now J.C. Horn is now y'all's leader on the defense. Like
J.C. Horn, yes, and let's be clear, Brian Burns, the edge rusher. Everybody was kind of shocked about that trade. Year before last, the Rams were offering us their first round pick for him, and we didn't give him up during that time. But he just was not getting what we needed done. I don't know if it was just an overall picture of revamping Carolina once again. So of course he went on to the Giants, and the Giants didn't make much moves, but at least he got a couple numbers on the board with them. But J.C. Horn is only 25 years old, so he's youthful. He's from Alpharetta, Georgia. I'm surprised the Falcons hadn't honed in on him with him being a Georgia native. They tend to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But hopefully he's going to be great with our team, overall, not just last year, but just capitalizing. He's from South Carolina, went to college there, of course. And so those guys that come out of there tend to do really good. You think about the type of guys that Dan Canales is used to coaching when he was with Tampa Bay, and J.C. Horn is definitely that type of caliber player.
Sure. Let's talk about Bryce Young, because what I saw from Bryce Young at the end of the season, probably his last maybe 5 or 6 games, I think that's the Bryce Young that we wanted to see, and that was after the benching. After the benching, he really turned his game up. He finished the season with about 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 82.2 rating, which isn't bad. Where do you expect him to go in his third year? What is the expectation for Bryce Young in year 3? Yeah,
the last there was a couple of weeks he was the highest ranked quarterback, and that was shocking of the league, considering it's not always wins and losses. Sometimes it's literally just about stats. And so I just think, like I said, if they continue to build around him, because let's be clear, Bryce is not going to get any taller. He's not going to get any bigger, so to speak. So you have to work what you have. Yeah. And I think actually it's been advantageous for Bryce, because we've seen him literally duck and dodge tackles that most quarterbacks would not have been able to dodge, just because he is, a lesser stature than your average quarterback.
Right. But he's shifty.
Yeah, very shifty, scrambling. It went from prior to the benching, running for your life because the O-line was folding up like lawn chairs, to now hey, I'm going to have to make the moves for me. I'm going to have to make these plays for me.
Right.
Bryce is taking a leadership role. I really feel like, he has taken that leadership role. And as such, everybody can kind of follow suit. You got Leggett coming in. I was thinking about the guy earlier. I couldn't think of his name, Jonathan Brooks, who unfortunately came into the draft.
Towards ACL again.
Already, yes. And then the third or fourth week of playing tore it again.
Yeah.
And as such, the Panthers have released all of their medical team because of poor clearance, basically. He was not prepared to come back, and the medical team cleared him, and he got the same injury again. So we haven't been able to see what Jonathan Brooks is going to look like. That duo of Bryce, Xavier, Jonathan Leggett, and then the veteran powers of Adam Thielen that we already have would be substantially big for next season. A healthy team is a good team. They're more confident. They definitely got a big confident boost when they almost beat the Chiefs, because this was prior to the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl and laying the egg that they laid. We didn't even know they were there. It was like basically, the Water Boys or something. I thought Adam Sandler was up for a minute. And so to look,
and as a young team, that's a good barometer to play the Chiefs and be able to compete with them. That's how young teams build confidence. That's how the Lions build confidence. When we beat the crap out of the Cardinals, y'all remember that game?
Yes.
A really good Cardinals team, and we beat them.
Lions eat birds, so there you have it.
We do eat birds.
Cats eat birds. I mean, I just like to see the maturation overall. They are a youthful team. As far as their age, now the age has gone down overall. I mean, with Shaq Thompson now leaving after 10 years, Shaq being, if I'm not mistaken, the last original Panther from the Super Bowl run. That was literally it. And so now it's literally like a completely fresh slate. When you kind of have the residuals for a little bit, sometimes that it may look good for your wins and losses, and then it doesn't, because on paper you start to see there's a tug of war, so to speak, between the old versus the new. And it's not an intentional tug of war, but it could just be like, hey, this is how we're doing it, and we got wins over here. And then you got these guys coming in from college. Let's be clear, they're coming in from college into the NFL. There's an acclimation period that they have to get to. In the NFL, everybody's the best of the best. In college, you may be the best of average. And so it's super competitive. Having Bryce take the reins like he has, and being level-headed, I think, even though Andy Dalton supposedly just injured his thumb, whatever it was enough to get Bryce a mental reset that he needed. And I think it was probably 90% mental, what he had going on, as far as, these guys, he was dropped into the worst offense in the league year before last. And he's 5'4". I mean, he's not 5'4", but he looks.
He looks 5'4".
I got his jersey, and I wear a size medium, ladies, and his jersey looks like it's probably would fit him. And so, like, I literally had people ask me, "Is that his actual jersey?" I was like, "Y'all know this ain't his jersey." They were like, "No, he looks that small." I'm like, "No, he's not." But the thing is, yes, I just think that this is what Bryce needed. I'm sure we saw the smiles. We saw him enjoying the game.
Yeah.
Before the benching, we saw sheer terror. We saw frustration. And even though he was trying to be level-headed, it was just like, oh my God, what is going on? You could just see it. Like, all we could think as Panther fans was, we hope he has a good mental health therapist. Seriously. That's what we literally were all saying, that, because we were like, this has got to be the worst. You come in as a Heisman Trophy winner and you get drafted, and you get dropped into the worst team in the league, which is what always happens. The first draft is always the worst team. But this was an anomaly of just a crap show across the board from both sides of the line. So there was.
I'll go a step further, Sonia. He got benched. How many first-round draft picks get benched?
Yeah.
And how he responded from that was amazing, because he played his best ball after he got benched, which tells me he gives a shit about what happened. Like he knows that was rock bottom.
Yeah,
there's only one way.
That's what we were saying.
It's two that I know of offhand, one being Bryce Young and the other one being Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, that's
Remember, he
what I was
had
gonna say. Richardson.
Oh yeah, I mean he kind of benched himself by the whole tapping out thing, you know. But Bryce Young, I mean, I give him a lot of kudos because you know you're a star at Alabama, you're the number 1 draft pick. You know, yeah, you're on a shitty team, but you come into this team and expected to turn it around, then you get benched. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you can go so many ways with that. He could have just gave up and quit. He could have said, I'm not doing this, or I want to be traded. You know, there's a very sensitive
Yeah,
league
the
now
words
of
were
defensive
out.
players.
Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest battle I've seen amongst Panther fans as far as the discrepancy of quarterback. Like I've never seen such a back and forth in, you know, amongst Panthers fans and Panthers groups that I'm in. A lot of Panthers fans were calling for him to be benched. A lot of them were like, why do we have him in the first place? Why didn't we get
Yeah.
CJ Stroud? You know, the million dollar question. And let me just say this right now. CJ Stroud with our offense may have gotten a couple of wins more, but it would not have been the CJ Stroud we saw with the Texans. And people need to realize that it's a totally different team that Bryce went to. And until you can realize that this is not even the same team, it's dynamics, then you're not going to ever realize the fact that there is quite a difference in the number 1 and number 2 draft. So that question.
And to be fair, CJ Stroud took a step back a little bit this year too. I mean, it's you know, young quarterbacks, it's expected. Yeah, it's sophomore slump, exactly. So I mean, yeah, I think that it's still a debate to have. I mean, obviously, you don't want to give up that much capital to get a quarterback like Bryce Young, you know.
Yeah,
but
that was kind of going to lead me into a question I was going to ask you. Since they moved up to get their quarterback, and they're kind of like seeing, you know, what they have in him really in his 3rd year. If you're if you're the GM, what way do you go in the draft? Where do you go? Where does your first pick go?
I think we really need some help on the defense, honestly. With Shaq Thompson being literally, even though he's been there the longest, he literally was the cornerstone of that defense. And we saw it because as soon as he went out injured, the games that we did win, you could just see the huge difference of him not being there. Of course, other defensive players have stepped up. We're like, oh, okay, you know, this is where it's going. You know, we're trending towards a younger, more vibrant team now. You know, it's a recycled team. Everybody gets about 10 years in at the most. If you're a running back, you're not even really getting that because the shelf life is extremely short for you. But it's literally now, it feels like a refreshed team as a whole. So going into the draft, we're going to need some help on the defense. We may need 1 or 2 people offensively, like I talked about, like some wideouts or what have you. But not too many. But I do want to see if they could possibly get somebody to assist Xavier Legette, because I feel like even though he's there, he's not 100% there yet. So that kind of was like, in my mind, can we go get a vet, though? Can we get a vet and not necessarily bench Xavier, but just kind of have somebody to kind of, you know, bounce off so you're not targeting him every single time?
What's y'all's pick, Sonia? Where are y'all picking?
7 or 8. Let me double check. I think.
Okay, so top 10. Yeah, I kind of figured top 10.
Of course, top 10. Let's be clear. Yeah, that's.
I mean, the guy that really jumps off the table for me, for y'all, if you're talking offensive, is McMillan from Arizona.
Yeah,
that dude is rangy. He's got hands. I like him a lot. Like, he played with a very average to mid quarterback and balled the hell out.
You say you'd like to see a vet go there, right? You'd like to see the Panthers pick up a vet, right? Somebody that can just kind of come in and show them the ropes a little bit more.
Yeah, so you know, last year at the last of the drafts, when everybody's already quit watching them, like round 4, pick 100 and 1,000 something, we got Jatavian Sanders as a tight end, and I really thought.
From Texas, yeah. He's athletic. He's a possibility. Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah,
and let's not forget we re-signed Taylor Moton, so he's solid. Like, matter of fact, I think Moton's been with us for a little bit. He may be. I think if they kind of look within and then kind of capitalize, because let me be honest. Panther fans are ready to win now because we're just tired of losing. It's not like we haven't had patience. Next year will be 10 years since we went to the Super Bowl. And I get it. Before y'all go there, Lions.
At least y'all went there.
Before you go there, just hear me out.
You kind of put that out there though, Sonya.
I did, but that's why I was like, hold on, let me. So let's just take that part out of it. It's been 10 years since we even won the division.
Yeah.
You know, we were winning.
And that division is not very hard. Let's be honest. That division is up for grabs. Anybody can take that division.
And one year we won it at 7-8-1, which was back in like 2013. 7-8-1, and we won it. Like it's a septic system down here in the South, but we don't want, you know, teams like the Falcons who banked everything on Kirk Cousins because he's gonna take them to the NFC Championship, and it's the Falcons. Now we got Michael Penix Jr., who's had an injury to every quadrant in his body in college, but we're gonna go with him. He's our person. And then the Saints, we're still gonna believe in Derek Carr. He's the same from the Raiders. No. And let's not forget the real beast of the East, the Southeast, that is. Baker Mayfield, who has turned the oven on broil and is a former Carolina Panther quarterback and former Canales coached quarterback, who is the real threat. So it's time to flip the South. Tampa Bay and the Panthers have been in the bottom. It's time to flip it and let it be Panthers in the top.
I got a question for the panel. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Really quick, I was going to say a name that could actually be kind of a bit of a help for you guys down there to help Leggett is, how do you feel about Stephon Diggs? He can get you 100-plus catches per season. I know he's coming off an injury, but he can give you, 100-plus catches, at least between 5 and 8, 9 touchdowns a season. I think that'd be somebody that can kind of ease the pain a little bit, take the pressure off of Leggett, and kind of help Bryce Young develop.
He's probably not going to demand a lot of money either.
I would go ham. I would go ham sandwich if we got Stephon Diggs. I love
ham sandwich.
The Minnesota Miracle up there against the Saints. I've never forgot that. Stephon Diggs is ideal. Okay. Now, this is the problem with that, though. For some reason, the big letdown is the Panthers don't give us no big names like we're banking on. We thought Myles Garrett was coming. We were like, okay, Panthers,
I think a lot of people thought Myles Garrett was going to their team.
we got Jadeveon Clowney, who has been a clown show, and they're trying to get rid of him now. And even when Debo came up, Debo's from South Cac. Everybody's like, Debo, come home.
He is. You're right. Yeah.
Come home. And look what happened. So I don't get caught up on the big names. Now, if Jay put it out there and we get Stephon Diggs, I'll come back on here and be screaming like, yes, Jay, thank you for that. Thank you for putting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, he come in on a 1-year deal. He come in.
There's some receivers out there that you could get that are free agents. Amari Cooper is another one. I think Amari Cooper would be good for you. I think that Keenan Allen would be good for you. These guys are pretty good at their positions.
I thought Kupp was going to be a possibility for y'all because y'all could have used Kupp too, along with Leggett.
Let me tell you something. You're about to make me stroke out over here. These names are all the names that I have literally been like, these people would be awesome. I will say this, Amari Cooper, someone on the team, I don't know if it's Bryce or someone else, was friends with him and has been like literally courting him to come to the team for not just this season, but a previous season. And I mean, come on, Amari, let's get the last of the juice you have left in the tank, or let's reignite it, because Dallas definitely extinguished it. And I don't even remember the other team he went to. Was it the Browns?
Buffalo.
Yeah, the Browns. Then he went to
Buffalo,
Dallas. Then he went to Buffalo.
He's been around the block, but he would be a good mentor for Leggett. And he's a good receiver still. Like, he can still
we can get him in there, let him play a little bit. And let Xavier.
The Bills aren't like prioritizing bringing him back.
Well, they brought back Shakir and they got Palmer, so they kind of upgraded in their senses, and they got Coleman too.
Cooper make any offense better.
And you got to remember the Buffalo Bills. Remember the Buffalo Bills salary cap isn't the greatest either. They're like the third worst salary cap in the league right now. So,
but that's so crazy because we got another $53 million that was just given, like they're making money at the U.S. Mint. I always say this. B. Strilla's probably gonna be sick of it. I always say that the owners act like they have the U.S. Mint
printing money.
But it's not helping, I guess.
I think they're being smart with how they spend their money because they gave Burns a big contract and then they traded him. So it's kind of hit or miss. So but I do have sorry, let me ask this question real quick because it's in my mind. So y'all, I want to ask this question, and I hope it's not a Doug question, but I actually think it's worth a debate.
No question.
Who's the best quarterback in the division?
And
really think hard, like
in the NFC South or the what?
In the NFC South, like talent, skill.
Baker Mayfield.
How far? But how much is he advantage over everybody else?
I think if we're just saying like, I think Baker Mayfield is here, and I think everybody else is like here. Like,
see, I would say Baker's here and Bryce is right here.
Yeah, and and that's what I was gonna say. It's the difference in the team. He's got Michael Evans. He's got Chris Godwin. I mean, he's got and then what's that dude? Otten. He's got Otten. He's got a lot of people down there. He has some weapons
down there, but I with all due respect to Bryce Young, I mean, definitely Baker Mayfield has made a name. He's made his way. He's made it to the AFC Championship team with a bad Cleveland Browns team. They weren't like horrible, but I mean they were poorly coached.
But if we're talking talent wise, Bryce Young is probably more talented than Baker is.
I don't know, man. Baker, he gets
Pull the stats.
First of all, hold on. Before you go forward with that, it's not about the talent; it's about the experience.
Well,
Baker Mayfield has Baker. This is a thing that you have to differentiate between quarterbacks in any division. So, Baker has the experience. He might not have all the talent in the world, but he does have the experience. Something that Bryce Young doesn't have. Bryce Young has the talent. Like Penix has the talent, but he doesn't have the experience.
Okay.
Derek Carr has experience, but he doesn't have. Derek Carr is Derek Carr.
Better question.
I can fully confidently say that with a straight face. Now, Derek Carr is not good. He had
that Carr is out of gas.
All right, better question.
There you go. I was going to make an automobile reference to that.
Let me re-ask the question. If you're a GM, who are you starting your team with out of all quarterbacks?
Baker.
Bryce Young.
Give me Baker.
Because he's younger and he's got the ability.
Well, let's say if you had Baker, let's say if Baker in prime, if Baker's in his prime and Bryce is obviously in his prime.
No. Don't be asking questions like that. No, just take them as they are at the moment. If you want to build that franchise, you would build it around Bryce Young at this point because he's the
so you're only basing it on age, or are you basing it on? Okay, all right.
Give me Baker.
I would take Bryce because of his talent. And he's still a guy you can coach up, and you can still the best is yet to come from him.
He's only
Baker
in his
has
third
a ceiling.
Year.
Even when Baker was the number one pick of the draft, he had a ceiling.
Yeah,
like I don't think people expected him to be all world.
In Carolina too, we've seen that.
Yeah.
So
give me Baker.
Baker is only as good as his weapon.
Okay.
Bryce was making moves without any weapons.
That I disagree with because Baker Mayfield has had some bad teams, but he's done some stuff. Right?
Yeah, no.
Like, as a Lion fan, I can say one thing that pissed me off with Baker is when he went to the LA Rams and he went over and beat Seattle last game to keep us out. No, or was it the other way around? Yeah. They basically
it was the other way around.
Out of the playoffs. That
was a long time ago.
Like, dude, Baker Mayfield just can't do anything right. But Baker Mayfield, he's really good. His talent is not only good, but it's his experience. Like B was saying. It's the way he's a commander on the field. That's what I like, because
he's also a gamer and he has a lot of moxie. I do appreciate that with Baker.
You don't have to be the strongest with the strongest arm, but as long as you know how to get the ball to your receiver, don't put him in trouble, be able to manage the clock, be in a field general, I'm okay with that. That's what Baker Mayfield is. Give me Baker.
I will say this. If Bryce Young, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, Sonia, Bryce Young will be the most improved player this year in the NFL. Book it. Put a page on it. Take a picture of it. Write it down. It's going to happen. If Bryce Young does what I say he's going to do, there's going to be a debate on who the better quarterback is in that division.
Oh yeah, and it's going to happen. I mean, it's time. Like the Bryce we saw wrapping up the season is the Bryce that's going to continue to get better. Like he's not going to revert back. Like there's no reverting back with the team we've got. It's only improvement for here. We have the first round. We have the 8th pick for the first round. The second round that we're going to be coughing up to Chicago is 57. So who gives a frick? And yeah, that's from that trade. And then the third round, we have the 74th pick. Fourth round, we have 111, all so on and so forth. But that first round, we got the 8th pick. That's going to be a good pick for us. That's going to be a very important pick.
I take back the McMillan pick. I think y'all should go for a running back because who is your starting running back right now?
No. I was just going to say because they had just got Rico Dowdle.
Yep.
And Rico Dowdle was a beast last year, and he's going to be behind.
I personally,
and they're still waiting for Jonathan Brooks. So
I personally would take the Omarion guy from North Carolina. I
wouldn't take a running back. Period. They got 3 running backs. They don't even.
He's got some gives in him. I'm just saying he's got some gives in him, and you got to give more weapons to Bryce. Like if you want this quarterback to really shine and get better, you've got to give him more weapons. Leggett is not enough. And Thielen's long in the tooth.
Thielen's definitely, yeah.
I mean, a quarterback like Bryce Young and his stature, I mean, he needs all the protection in the world. I think of any quarterback, he needs the most protection because he's so small. You got to be able to keep him upright. That's your franchise.
You just don't want to get 6'8" or 6'7" linemen because he's only 5'9".
Yeah, so let me tell you what the prediction is. So you guys brought up Brian Burns earlier. The prediction is that we're going to get Jalen Walker, the edge, out of Georgia.
Okay.
Nice.
He's got some game. He's a little raw, but he's got some game.
243 pounds. He's ranked 2nd. So he's up there top ranked. He's projected to go to the Panthers.
The only thing I say about that guy is that the fact is that Trayvon Walker didn't really pan out for the Jags because Georgia runs more of a rotational defense. They don't have like all down starters. They rotate a lot of players in. He could be kind of like that Trayvon Walker. So people might be shy away from him because they don't know if how he's gonna gel on a team where he's gonna have to do more than when he was on the Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, you talked about picking up a running back. The first ranked running back though is Ashton Jeanty, and they're predicting.
I think everybody's going after Jeanty, man. If they can trade up and get him, they're going to go after him.
They're predicting
somebody's going to get him.
Yeah, they're predicting him. Yeah, because they think he's going to go around the 6th pick, which would be around where the Raiders are.
Yeah, that's what B was saying. He has him at the Raiders.
So you guys think Jeanty will be gone before the Panthers even get on the board?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
really?
I think this is my bold prediction. I think Chicago's going to trade up to get him.
Yeah,
you know what?
I'm telling you, they're not.
I thought about that.
We'll see.
Chicago.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, they're gonna want to get 2 picks in the first round. They're gonna get that pick from us.
Well, they have that 57th pick that they could trade up to get up there if they wanted to. So that's an asset right there.
Right. Yeah. That was what I was thinking.
I mean, the Raiders could trade up. Raiders could trade up their pick too.
Yeah, the Raiders might do that because they know that Chicago wants Jeanty in some aspects.
Well, not everybody wants Jeanty.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about the Panthers, like you do have Rico Dowdle that you gave a decent some money to, so he's your starter. But man, I like that guy in North Carolina. That Omarion guy, he's got size, he's got speed. He kind of reminds me of Gibbs a little bit. Like,
Jameer,
that would be a good 1-2 punch.
He could be better than Jeanty. They are saying he could be better than Jeanty. I'm like, I don't know how true that is, but I mean, the thing
with Jeanty is I don't know how he projects. Like, he reminds me of Mojo. Remember Mojo?
Yeah,
he's like Mojo. He's a faster version of Maurice Jones-Drew. Like, I don't know how he's going to project to the NFL because he's not a big dude. Like he's built on the bottom size with his legs.
Yeah, the
and all
guy
that.
you're mentioning is not even ranked in the top 10 to be taken. The Omarion guy, I'm looking.
Somebody's going to take him higher.
Somebody's going to get him.
It might be Chicago that takes him. Who knows? Because he's rising up the boards. He had a really good combine. His tape is awesome. Like, I think him and Genty are like literally neck and neck with each other.
That's possible, because really quick, y'all remember when a lot of people were telling the Lions, get Bijan Robinson. He's obviously the best running back in this draft. Where did Brad Holmes go? He looked completely the other way and went to get Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, and all you have to watch is that jump cut that he had in college.
That could be the case.
That was sick.
Another guy. And a lot of people are looking at him like he's that guy, like he's going to be the next, hot pick. And I mean, it could
go ahead, Sonia.
Must be the other guy.
Yeah, and the shocker, because I have a CBS Sports app that I keep up with, so that's what I'm kind of looking at right now. The shocker is the reports that came in either late last night or early today. Is that y'all know everybody's been talking about Shedeur and Cam Ward, but they're saying that the Steelers are holding out hope for Aaron Rodgers, but regardless, they're thinking Shedeur does not have the ceiling of Cam Ward, and he's going to slip all the way down to the 21st pick.
That would be crazy. That would be a steal if the Steelers got Shedeur at that pick.
They're projecting that. Y'all know he didn't show up at the combine because he felt like, he's already showed who he is. He's not got the best of reputations because he's been going around on FaceTime with his dad, doing his meetings with these teams. And some teams, that's an off-put for them. Your stats may look like this, but we don't want to deal with daddy issues. We don't want to worry about your daddy coming down with all his Jerry curl juice from the 90s and chains and stuff and all the rappers he wants to bring with him. We just don't want
Hey, Sonia, he's earned the cachet to be how he wants to be. He's one of the best damn cornerbacks to ever play the game.
But his son has
but the point is he's earned it, but his son hasn't earned it.
His son has not earned that. And so because of that, there is a complete separation. None of us would get the benefit of the doubt if we were trying to get in the league and we don't have a relative that's already in it that's made markers like this.
Well, you know what I would do if I was Shedeur, and this was before the combine, I would have came out and said, you know what? You're drafting me. You're not drafting my daddy.
Yes.
My daddy, I love my daddy. He's everything to me, but you're drafting me. You're going to get me. My daddy is my daddy, and he's going to stay the heck out of the situations.
Yeah, he should have been
the whole thing about that situation. He should never had his dad in any of that. Anyway.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
That's what I'm
Asante
saying.
Samuels didn't have his dad in there.
When you don't
on FaceTimes with every meeting. They said he's on FaceTime with Tennessee. He's got the phone turned around talking to them because he can't be there in person.
But see, that's Shedeur's fault. You don't separate yourself from your family.
Right.
That's what happens.
Yes.
And it's his own detriment if he falls because you had the chance to separate. Yep. I'm sure his agent said, listen, I love Deion. Deion has done nothing but great things for you. He's given you everything you wanted, but you have to separate yourself from your father. Yep. If you don't do that, it's going to be a detriment and go against you.
You don't think he'd do a pretty good job of that? Because, if you think about it, a lot of people were upset with the Sanders brothers, period, because Deion was their dad, right? Like, he don't go around here just flaunting it like he's my dad and this is who I'm going to listen to. He's his own guy. He may be a little bit outspoken and he takes on the traits of
he doesn't try to separate himself is what I'm saying. He just kind of thinks it's going to go away and it's not.
I agree with
that. It's only going to get worse.
Because he kind of takes on some of the traits of his father, right? Like the confidence of people mistaking it for arrogance. And him bringing a different just image to the NFL. A lot of people look and frown upon that. He hadn't done anything wrong. He doesn't speak down bad about his opponents. He's a great leader on the field. If you listen to any of his Buffalo teammates, when he played with Colorado, they said nothing but good things about him. You can't.
Yeah, he's not a rah-rah guy either. He's very calm, cool, and chill. Like anybody who gets him is going to get a good quarterback. Now, whether it translates to his game, I don't know. That's the question I have. I'm a little skeptical of his game more so I'm skeptical of him as a person.
I have a question for the three of you guys, really quick. Sorry about this, B, but for the three of you guys, is there three better quarterbacks in this draft right now?
No. This ain't a quarterback saturated draft at all.
It's not a good player.
If JJ McCarthy was in this draft, he'd be the number one pick.
Right.
Yeah.
Hands down.
That's saying a lot.
That's how bad this quarterback class is.
A lot of people are in love with Cam Ward. A lot of people are in love with that guy,
because he can make all the throws and he can wiggle around. He's kind of got Kyler Murray, but apparently with more accuracy and more deep ball, is what I hear.
But is it because he's actually that good, or the fact that he's probably the only quarterback that has some kind of talent in the draft.
Probably the first one.
That.
Yeah, he's probably the most talented quarterback in the draft for sure, 100%.
So
your next quarterback is 27 years old.
We say that all the time, like, this quarterback class is they're okay. All right,
it's
you
bad.
got some people that may emerge to be really good, you know.
So
and then the ones that we think are good turns out bad.
Go ahead, Sonia.
So just wrapping up the Deion thing, I literally looked and it's a whole spiel. It was kicked off by Mike Florio, and everybody is talking about everybody's saying his draft stock is slipping because of the influence of his father. It's everywhere. Like this is on.
That might be a good thing. The farther you fall, the better teams you get.
Yes, but this is what he said too. So you know how Nate, you said he should have gotten ahead of it and said, "Hey, I'm me, draft me. I'm independent of my dad." They said when people ask him about that, his response was, "I'm not worried about any critics. Me and my father are used to facing haters."
Yep, there you go. See, you're lumping your father back into it. Yeah.
Scrutiny. So you're saying that people that are telling you don't have your dad here are haters? That's not a good response. And so they're basically saying they feel like that with his dad, it would be either a distraction or a career risk, because at the end of the day, you can't do anything independent of your dad. And the list goes on and on and on.
This is what I look at it as. The teams that are projected to take him, in my opinion, are probably some of the worst run franchises. Period. And if they have a chance to
over by Deion,
right. If they have a chance to draft a quarterback who's got a good personality, who's got good lineage, who wants to come in and win, and will give it all he's got, and that's not enough for you just because he's cocky. Well, he has a reason to be cocky. Because he doesn't want to go to your team. And you gotta sway him to want to be there.
Well, he could not play. There's that option.
I think that's a fine line too, because you can say, "Well, I don't want to be on your team because your team sucks," but you're not going to get drafted to a team that's great. It's not going to happen like that. So you should be happy to be drafted. Period. That's the whole point. Humbleism is something that these players, some of them have. I'm sure Shedeur has a good point, and he's a focused young man, and he's a good quarterback, and he feels that makes him the better quarterback in the draft. But he's not supposed to have no confidence. I mean, I can see him saying that. If you start putting down, if you have the mentality, you're putting down teams as you're getting, you're getting interviewed by him, then your mentality's messed up because you're supposed to be humble. This NFL is a great,
it's also too. These franchises have nothing to offer this quarterback. Like they can't even keep their own quarterbacks. They can't even keep their own players, and they expect Shedeur to bow down to them and worship the franchise. I mean,
that happens to every player that comes in the NFL, though. Especially top 10, top 15 players. But that is every time, every year.
I disagree.
I don't want to hear that.
I disagree with that because your daddy's not Deion Sanders.
But you know something.
Look
at what his dad did, though. Like they both come in with a certain mentality, and they know
his dad got drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, who weren't crap.
Yeah. But he
was humble enough to bring his behind, and he was still talking cash money stuff. But he still got drafted by Atlanta Falcons, who weren't crap at that time. And guess what? Because of his play, they became a better franchise.
This dude is known as having the daddy ball because it's basically he cannot act independent of his dad. Even Tom Brady had to tell him when he was at Colorado, "Don't be out here pushing your merch during halftime. You need to be in the back looking at the playbook." And they weren't even winning then. He was already so. And then there was a player that came out from Colorado that talked about how Deion just pushed his sons and kind of shunned. Like he said that. I don't remember who the guy's name was, but he used to be with Colorado. And I'm all for them. Great, kudos, kumbaya for you that you got your son. And
there's a reason why Shedeur never transferred from. There's a reason why Shedeur never transferred from Colorado, because he didn't want to hurt Deion. Like there was rumors out there that he wanted to maybe go somewhere else, but because Deion talked him into staying in Colorado, that he stayed there. And the thing is that, it's a fine line you walk, because if you can't step out of that shadow that shadow is always going to be there with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the GMs are saying is like, we know that if we bring Dion into, if we bring Shedeur into our organization, Dion's going to be on line one every time. You know,
well,
Dion's
if
going to
he
be
goes,
trying
but
to
if he
influence
goes to
things.
Pittsburgh, like they're
Sometimes with good
talking
players,
about,
that risk
Mike
is there.
Tomlin is not putting up with that. If he goes to Pittsburgh or goes to Detroit, say he went to Detroit, even though y'all don't know, Dan Campbell ain't putting up with that. You're not coming in
Oh,
there.
no. Hell no.
My team. You're going to stay over there as a regular fan and cheer your son on.
But you're talking about strong organizations like Pittsburgh and Detroit. You're talking about strong cultures that they've built. I'm talking about like if you have Cleveland or the Giants or whoever's at the top of the draft. Those are weak franchises that have bad organizations. They can't even run their own team.
Know, anytime you sign a Cabbage Patch Kid as your quarterback that's got all these drama issues and you stand on business and do press conferences with him, we don't care if 500 women come out. He's our quarterback for 30 years. Okay, then that right there tells me everything I need to know about you.
He got engaged, by the way, today.
Say what?
Sure.
Yeah, he got engaged. I saw on
Facebook.
Watson.
Oh,
so the girl he's been cheating on, or someone different?
Huh? No. It's Watson.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
He got engaged to the influencer.
The girl he's cheating on, or somebody new?
It's Watson. Who the hell knows? Could be a masseuse.
Something really quick. Something really quick though. Just really quick. This is my last thought on whole Shedeur. His tape speaks for himself. I don't care what his dad do or what his dad say.
Yeah,
he threw for 4,100 yards. He had 37 touchdowns.
And he did it with a bad Colorado team that didn't really protect him.
10, 11, something like that. But his tape speaks for himself. Now, obviously, if you draft him, there's going to be a lot of talk behind, can he separate away from his father? Is he going to be his own man? But that just comes along with the territory of being the son of a great athlete. Not good, not somebody that's just good, but great. You see it in the NBA with LeBron James and his son.
I'm sick of that too.
Right? LeBron James don't have to say a word, but as soon as he come in, he's get this preferential.
Yeah, but LeBron James gets all torn up if somebody talks bad about his son.
I mean,
running over there.
That just comes along with the territory. And Shedeur Sanders haven't let that affect him at any point in his life, and he still goes out there and perform. Yeah. I think that he'd be fine. Let him. I think
if you're in a situation where your son or daughter is playing with you in a sport, you have to separate yourself from that situation. It's like no different when you coach your kid. When you coach your kid in sports, you don't need to be the hardest person on that kid. You need to treat them all the same because even though they're your kid, you don't want to favor it over the other players. So you have to separate that situation. And if you don't separate that situation, you're coddling that kid, and that kid is never going to grow up because they're always going to think that, oh, daddy or mommy's got my back. And that's what Shedeur thinks right now.
Exactly.
Daddy will always have my back. He's got the money. He's getting everything I wanted.
He gets talked about like he's just Satan. Yeah. Seriously. Like, I'll be like, I mean, I get it. A lot of people just hate like confidence that can be misconstrued as arrogance, but he just know his game. He know what he want to do. He not coming in to try to,
and that's fine. If they don't want to draft him, then it's their loss.
To prove himself. If he want to prove himself, put on the tape.
But I mean, C.J. Stroud was a Heisman Trophy. C.J. Stroud was just as talented, and we did not get this whole persona of arrogance that we're getting with Shedeur.
I'm telling you, because his daddy is Dion. That's the difference.
I didn't see it that much.
Remember when he took the Wonderlic test? He did bad on it, and he said, "I ain't go to Ohio State to play to do good in school. I went to play football."
He said that?
His solo comment, but this is an overall persona.
You know what I mean? Like, I look at Baker Mayfield, perfect example. When they beat, who was it they beat? When he grabbed his crotch, and people were tearing him down for that, but he still went number 1 overall because they knew he was the best choice at that time.
And he's still talking junk because when they played the Giants, he was out there with DeVito like this.
Well, the draft is not the draft. If the draft is based on personality and characteristics, then you're drafting the wrong player. Yeah, it's supposed to be based on who can help you win on the field.
Yes,
and like you said, Shedeur has good tape. I still think he's got a lot of work to his game, But I think you could take him and you could put him in the right situation and coach him up. He can be a good quarterback. There's no doubt in my mind. If Tom Brady's working with you, he sees something in you. I'll just say that right now. Tom Brady don't work with no Danny DeVito or whatever the hell his name is. He's only going to work with the guys he sees that's got game. So he sees something in Shedeur, and he's worked a lot with Shedeur. So that says it right there that he believes in what he sees in that guy. And so, just draft him because you want to draft. You want a winning quarterback.
I think that's just about. That's fine. I don't think that makes him. He sees something in him. I think that's a brotherhood in the NFL because Deion Sanders is a superstar just as much as Tom Brady is. Tom Brady says, "Yeah, I'll work with you, son." You know, that kind of stuff. That's like if you're a coaching pal and Dan Campbell comes in there, you're going to probably let Dan Campbell coach a few games. You know what I'm saying? Because he's the only thing I say is that Tom Brady doesn't coach up a lot of people. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm sure he would. Him and Shedeur have a pretty deep relationship. I think it goes down to when he wasn't
I just feel bad for Shedeur in a way because I feel like whatever team draft him, they're going to throw him out there to start, and if he don't throw for 5,000 yards and get
they're gonna drag him.
That's the life of a quarterback, man.
I'm looking at it right now. We are waiting on him to fail.
Yeah, that's I already know that's how it's going to be. And like I said, Shedeur Sanders, he's good. Like you said, Nate, I agree with you 100%. Let the kid grow. Let him develop. You don't have to just throw him out there into the fire. Just let the boy play.
Listen, if he falls to another team, that's like I said, the farther you fall, the better teams you get, the better rosters you're a part of. That could be a blessing in disguise.
Dallas?
I'm just saying. Oh, I think Deion would be smitten if he went to Dallas.
Let me tell you, Dallas, and B. Strilla knows this. The moment that they promoted Schottenheimer, as their head coach from offensive coordinator.
No, she calls it shopping center.
Yeah, anytime. Like he's already they're a losing team. They didn't even try to go out and get a real.
I don't know, man. If Shedeur goes to Dallas, that would be interesting because Jerry and Deion are like this.
CeeDee Lamb, they got some nice weapons over there, bro.
Anyway, so let's get off this Shedeur Sanders thing. We took up most of the show with that.
It's all right.
Anyway. on the level of what I'm looking at on your roster there, Sonia, about your defense, you got 3 defensive ends. Okay. You got Derek Brown, the Brian Ray, and A'Shawn Robinson. Everybody knows A'Shawn.
Yes.
So really you don't have the best defensive end. So I would think that would probably be the reason why you're projected to get a defensive end because you got fairly defensive ends. So you got plenty of good defensive tackles, though, especially with Bobby Brown. What step you take? Anyway.
Sonia.
That's my guy, though. Bobby Brown the third is a really good defensive tackle, though.
You know what, Sonia? I have a wild take here that I'm going to throw out to you. I think that the Panthers should trade up to get Abdul Carter.
Ooh,
that would be good.
But who would we like? What's it going to cost us to trade?
Well, you're drafting 8, right? You said?
Yeah.
He probably is going to fall to Rob 4, probably 4 or 5.
First or a second.
Yeah, but what do we got to give up?
You're going up 3 spots.
Who are we giving up?
Maybe a 4.
Probably a first. Maybe a 4.
You're going to have to give up your first round pick to move up.
If you're getting the number 1 pick, I would automatically expect 2 first rounds to be attached to
Yep.
Well, we don't know. We don't know if he's going to be number 1 pick because the quarterbacks are going ahead of him.
And then the following year.
It depends. It depends on what teams are looking at. If you said you guys got the 8th pick, right?
Yeah.
So how many of the top 5 teams need a quarterback? I mean, everybody's assuming that Tennessee's going to get a quarterback. I don't see Tennessee getting a quarterback. I think they're going to keep on with Mayo.
No, Tennessee's going to get a quarterback. No,
I don't think they have to. I think they're going to get Hunter.
Or they trade down. They trade down. I don't see them not.
They're either trade down or they're going to get Hunter because they're not getting a quarterback. I think they invested so much in Levi.
The franchise.
I mean, you're getting another number 1 quarterback to, and he may do the same thing Levi did. Levi was a touted number 1 quarterback.
They might trade Levi before the draft.
Mayo, whatever the hell his name is. Anyway, so he
Levis.
Thank you. This is correction.
Nate
anyway.
said it too. Nate too.
Levis.
Like, wait,
Mayo.
it's
He's
not Levi
Mayo.
Stadium.
He's Mayo. Anyway,
Either
that's what I call
either
him,
way,
Mayo.
we saw this with the Bears. They had Justin Fields. Everybody's like, "Oh, we're not taking a quarterback," and they took Caleb Williams and they got rid of Justin Fields. They can get rid of Levis.
Oh, I knew that. Everybody knew they were going to
Yeah.
get quarterback because Chicago's such a screwed up organization
Right, but what I'm
anyway.
saying- what I'm
Titans are
saying
a
is
lot
they-
better than that.
You can move off of rookie quarterback pretty easy. They're going to take Cam Ward. Cam Ward makes the most sense. Trade Levis, and then also too, I got to see the Browns taking a quarterback. I have to. You can't sell me on Kenny Pickett. Like Myles Garrett don't even want a Kenny Pickett. Like,
Like
and
20
then
Yeah,
best
and they
quarterbacks
just
over there. They don't
pay
need a
him
quarterback
money.
either.
Travis
They're not
Hunter's
gonna-
their best player.
They are not going
But-
to invest, and I think Cleveland actually might go down in a draft
Well,
because you know what? Because if they get anybody in the first round, they're going to have to pay first round money when it comes around. They are still under contract with Deshaun. They got a couple of players. Garrett just signed a contract with them. They're going to be in for lots of money.
Mhm.
So if they have to sign a first round draft pick, then that means they're going to have to pay that as soon as everybody else gets paid.
Yeah.
So that means that's more money.
And
on
Abdul
their
Carter
account.
doesn't make no sense for them either because they already paid Garrett. You're not going to have two
Nah,
premier
he-
pass rushers you got to pay.
Nah, he ain't going.
They're gonna be paying Deshaun when he's 90 years old.
I mean, but then you got Hunter too. I'm just saying it could happen because there are teams that possibly could move down in this draft. And if Carolina likes Abdul Carter enough, you get a franchise type of end along with a franchise type of quarterback. You've got two huge pillars on both sides, and now you can rock and build your roster. That's all I'm saying.
Trading up to get Abdul Carter, I just don't see it. I think it's a couple pass rushers in this draft you can get besides Abdul Carter.
They got the rusher.
Yeah, there's plenty of pass rushers in this draft that I mean,
Yeah.
defensive end is probably the strongest.
But
right now.
impactful is the question.
Yeah,
I think Abdul Carter is Micah Parsons 2.0. I really do. I
Let's
think
hope
that
not,
his-
because Micah Parsons has turned out to be crap. If you can't,
It's because of the
you ever seen him in a
His personality is-
playoff game? You run right at him, he don't know how to tackle you. So he's like, you know who he's like? He's like with that Chicago. What's his name? He used to run right at him. He couldn't tackle you.
I don't know. I still take Micah Parsons. He's a fucking beast, man. The guy just is unblockable half the
Abdul
time.
Carter.
I don't like him or his attitude.
Abdul Carter
Yeah.
could be.
I
Bad.
used to.
We don't know. You know.
But we don't know. But all I'm saying is like that would be a risk that I would, if I was a GM, I would look into if the price is not that high. And I think you could do it because there is a lot of supply and not a lot of demand in this draft. Like this is not a great draft.
Yeah,
But a lot of these teams do not want to take top players.
draft, especially for the defense.
Defensive
Yeah,
end, defensive
defense, yeah.
tackle.
Yeah, the trenches, yeah. for
Everything
sure.
underneath that. The trenches, yeah. Offensive lineman probably after defensive end and defensive tackle.
When
then
is
offense.
Scatterboo going into the draft? Next year? Not this year.
No, he's
right?
already in the draft.
I thought he was.
He's in the draft.
Somebody
He's
told
in the
me he
draft.
wasn't. I want Scatterboo.
Scatapoo, yeah, he'll probably go like in the
Hey,
second or third round.
He a beast though. I seen that game they played against Texas.
Yes, that's what made me know who
I
he
was
was.
like,
I
that
had to pay
kid
much
is,
attention to him.
He's a poor man's Christian McCaffrey,
Yes, he is. And
and I'm not saying that just because he's white.
No, I know. If we could get him, I would want the Panthers to take him for their second round at pick number 57. He ain't gonna last that long. Let's be clear, because everybody done paid attention to him in that game.
Yeah.
But I just remember seeing him. I was like, Scatterboo, what?
Sonia,
You know where I can see him going? To the Chargers. I know
they just got Najee.
Harris. I know they got Najee Harris, but who's the other running back? Is it Hassan Haskins?
Yep,
I think so, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
because DK Dobbins is still a free agent.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, we're gonna wrap up this segment of the Panthers. We're gonna start talking some Lions. Sonia, I just got one thing to say. What is y'all's mantra?
Keep
for
pounding.
Carolina. Exactly. And you know what that means? Keep pounding the rock. So they gotta find a way to keep running the ball and not put so much pressure on Bryce Young. But
That's right.
So, Sonya, you staying with us, right?
yeah, you staying with us, or you mean you're welcome to stay with us? We're
how
gonna
much
turn the
you guys
page.
got? Like an hour?
Probably because we're
Yeah.
gonna definitely do an hour now since we've taken an hour on the
know.
Panthers. No offense.
I can hour, 45 minutes.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all football talk. We can talk football forever.
I'm hanging there as long as I can.
I just want to get some rosy yolk before they close.
We ain't done yet, Brent.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
I know Lions. I know Lions stuff too.
Yeah. All right.
So
we invite everybody to come talk.
All right. So we're gonna go to start. So obviously we know what happened with the Lions. It is what it is. We're turning the page. So we got some coaching stuff to talk about because, as you know, anytime you're a good team that wins the number one seed, your coaches are always up for grabs. And so, unfortunately, we lost Ben Johnson. And we lost Aaron Glenn, our defensive coordinator, which I really like. Aaron Glenn.
To the
Saints. Yeah.
Jeez.
No, to Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Aaron Glenn was
Yeah,
to the
we
Saints.
lost. Those are the
the
main
Jets.
two. Yeah, Jets. Those are the main two ones we
Moore
lost.
went to the Saints.
Yeah. Keelan.
Those are the main
Keelan
two
Moore.
ones that we lost. We also lost our tight ends coach. We lost our defensive line coach, and Terrell Williams, to the Patriots to join Vrabel's staff. So yeah, we've taken some hits, but as always, Dan Campbell always finds replacements because Dan Campbell's tree is very, very good, and it's only going to get better. I love that picture of Dan, by the way. But that's before the coffee, before the double shot, the Dan special they call it. So introducing our OC, John Morton. John Morton actually coached with Dan in 2021, I believe, right, B? Right?
Yep.
2022? Okay, 2022. Thank you. And he was offensive coordinator for Denver Broncos last year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he worked.
No, he was I think he was an offensive assistant for Denver.
Oh,
he wasn't a coordinator.
Okay.
No, he was OC and when he played for the Jets.
Okay, so he's OC
way
for
back.
the Jets.
That
okay.
was like 2017, 16, somewhere around here. Yeah.
So he was on the staff with Sean Payton, who Dan already knows Sean Payton really well. So a lot good relations. So I'm sure he gave him a lot of good insight on John Morton. So he will be the guy that will be in charge of the offense this year, and he's got some shoes to fill. There's no doubt. Benedict Johnson did a good job this past season. You know, we're gonna miss him in some sense, but I think that this guy has coached Ben Johnson, and so I feel confident that he'll be able to get the job done. And on top of that, the talent didn't leave, so the talent's still there, and it's only going to get better. All right, then let's talk about
Dan the man.
Exactly.
That's all that counts.
Man. Exactly. And then we have Scotty Montgomery, who I'm a big fan of Scotty. I think Scotty's going to be a next head coach going forward.
Former player.
Yeah, Scotty.
I was sweating when they were talking about him taking interviews.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't go. He's a hot name. Scotty was promoted from running backs coach to receivers. So he's going to be coaching the receivers.
Head coach.
Yep, an assistant head coach, correct. So he's basically the next in line to get a head coaching job under Dan. He's going to be like Dan's right-hand man. And then my favorite, Mr. DC Kelvin Shepherd.
Yes.
Man, this guy, I'm excited about this guy. I listen to his pressers all the time. This guy just spits confidence. Like he believes in what he does and how he does it. And all I got to say is that he took a linebacking room that literally took the biggest hit out of all our positions, and he found ways to make it work. He pulled off guys off the streets and made them somewhat decent in games. Like, if that doesn't tell you this guy's ready to take the next step as their DC, I don't know what does. And on top of that, behind the scenes, he was working with AG a lot in the rooms and the meetings. So he's a hear all that's going on. So I'm excited for Kelvin. I think Kelvin's going to do a great job. And I think that this defense is going to look a little bit different than what AG did. I think it's going to still be around the same schemes, but I think Kelvin's going to bring more aggression in different ways.
The fact that he has the experience with those guys is going to be what's going to be.
Yeah, he coached. He played on the Lions. Yeah, he played on the Lions, so he knows Dan. Him and Dan played together. Talk about full circle.
Yeah, that's
and then one honorable mention I want to throw in there, Tashard Choice. The Lions running back coach.
Running back.
So this is what when I saw Star Choice got the coaching job, I was happy for two reasons. A, he coached Gibbs, and he knows how to work with young players because he was a former running backs coach at Texas. And you look at Texas's stout of running backs: Bijan, Jonathan Brooks. They've got another one in Baxter this coming year. They've got a lot of good running backs that Roschon Johnson that he's coached up.
And so he played running back for the Bills, so he's been another player come.
Yeah. He was a solid guy. Exactly. Thank you, Sonia. He was a solid guy, and so he knows how to coach up these guys. But another reason why I liked it is because I am a Texas A&M fan. And of course, the Aggies hate UT. And so we took one of their best recruiters away, and Dan Campbell went to A&M. So there you go. I loved it. Take away some of that.
Also, on some new coaching position tips on the Lions, Bruce Gradowski is the offensive assistant. Yeah. And then we also have one of the best defensive line coaches in the league right now is Casey Rogers, as he was a defensive line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, and they led pretty much top 5 in sacks.
Yes,
Jay got excited for that one. His eyes got all big on that.
And that linebackers coach, we got a linebacker that played Sean Dion Hamilton. He was a linebacker at one time as well. So we got some extra ones that we put on the Barbie there, and hopefully everybody cooks.
Yeah.
And I said,
go ahead, B.
Dan Campbell is going to be the one that brings everybody together. I think, professionally, he's the guy. I don't really think, and this is my opinion, I don't really think that he was really personally happy with Ben Johnson, but I think that he was professionally happy with Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson got him, up and down the field. But as far as dude, let's go out and have a beer, hell no. He'd rather do that with AG than with Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Ben, AG was one of those personal, and I knew AG was going to get a head coach job. He's a head coach. He's head coaching material.
He's a leader.
Now,
he's a leader.
Kelvin Shepherd will be a better DC than he will. Because that's just what Kelvin does. He's just a better DC, and he's just a better defensive-minded coach anyway.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I'm excited about Kelvin. I really am.
Hope he is, but I'm not going to expect it from him because Aaron Glenn did some really good things with some really bad pieces at times. And I mean, we all used to get angry and stomp up and down and yell at the TV when Aaron Glenn did some things for that defense, but I will say he was a man amongst men out there. When it came to coach, Aaron Glenn was really good. Everybody respected him. They loved him. He was good for the
Here's my only rebuttal, Jay, on that is that Kelvin probably room took the biggest hits out of all the losses in the linebacking room.
You said Kelvin's?
Yeah, Kelvin's room, the linebacking room. He coached the linebackers.
You think they took the most losses, you said?
The most injuries, the biggest losses. You lose Barnes, you lose Rodrigo, you lose Alex. You're down 3 starters possibly. Then you have a bunch of backups. You have guys off the streets.
Yeah, but in a sense, you would say because they have less players than any other position, right? But I mean, look at how many defensive linemen went down. Hutch, Pico, Wingo.
I get it, but I would argue that we really hurt at the linebacker spot more than anything because we had nobody that could cover. Remember those games?
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
For the end of the season, it was horrible. I definitely
so that's what I'm saying. So what Kelvin did with those guys, and then bringing guys in like Jamal Adams and all these other dudes, Turner off the streets and all that stuff, Quan, and he got him to play decent. That says a lot about a coach. Like a coach that does more with less is better than a coach that does more with more.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the fact that Kelvin handled that spot until Alex got back and didn't menace his words. He knew that they were down, but he's like, I don't care. All these guys I coach up, I coach them to start. He always says that in his pressers. That's why I think that he's gonna hit this defense different than AG did. Now, AG did a great job. He's a leader amongst men. He's very popular. He's going to be a huge loss. There's no doubt about that. But I think Kelvin is going to bring a different element to this defense that I don't think AG did.
Hey, I love
it. I think a real big thing about AG is the reason why that, everybody noticed it, and defense was still horrible. But the point of the matter is he got those players to play. That's what head coaches do. Look at Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell will have you run through a wall for him. That's what a head coach is supposed to do. Yes. All right. So AG was already built for that. Yes. Anyway, he got that defense plan, and you got, Tom Smith off the street that was working at the Save Mart, 2 days ago out there tackling and putting out hits on people. So, I mean, that's motivation. That's what head coaches are supposed to do on them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's supposed to be, they're supposed to do that. And that's why I say AG will make a hell of a head coach. Mm-hmm. I think, though, as nickels and dimes, Shepard is going to definitely take over the defense and make it better because that's what he is on there. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can definitely see that. I can definitely.
And he was coached under AG. AG took him under his wing this last year. So did Dan. Like it was almost a given that he was going to be DC. They weren't going to go outside of the organization to find somebody else. He's also played on the Lions. He's very familiar with the culture. He's very familiar with the players, the system. The linebackers really respect him. Like this is probably going to be the best move so far.
That was going to be my question because as you guys were talking, I was kind of looking at the comparisons, and I think they struck a good balance. They have experience and they have the expertise and familiarity all in one because you got a couple of new guys here, but you have enough of the veterans that worked in different capacities.
Right.
That familiarity is still there. And that makes so it's all is not lost. I was very concerned when you guys lost Ben Johnson. And then once you guys lost Allen, I was just really like, oh my goodness. Like when you lose both the offensive and the defense, it's like, okay, what happens? But at least you guys kept your nucleus of your players together. Everybody's still there. And it looks like Detroit already kind of had, even though, like y'all said, he's not hanging out having a beer with everybody. They had the fortitude to see like, hey, 3 years down the road, which would have been 3 years ago, we may be that team that everybody's looking at pulling our OC and our DC. Let's look at what that looks like so that we can have somebody already there to step up and fill that position.
I think the difference between Johnson and AG, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong or not. When you look at Johnson's relationship with Campbell, it almost seems like you have two alphas butting at the head.
Yep.
Because both are very strong personalities. And the fact is that you see Ben Johnson now that he's out of Detroit and how cocky and arrogant he sounds to a T. And then you look at AG. AG looked at Dan like a brother. That everything that AG has now and going forward is because of Dan. And the respect that AG has for Dan and the respect that Dan has for AG, it's almost like a humbling relationship. The fact is that they've been brothers and that they will always be brothers with each other because it's that relationship first. Yep. To whereas like B kind of said, Ben and Dan were more professionals. It was like, when you work with somebody, but you don't really like them, but you have to work with them because they're part of the team and you got to get the goal figured out to be successful. That's kind of the relationship I saw with Ben and Dan. Do y'all agree with that?
Yeah, because you can tell just by their pressers when Ben Johnson went out there and started speaking as the head coach and everything. You can tell by the way he was talking how he's putting people down, whether it's former players or whoever, and talking about head coaches like Matt LaFleur. I enjoyed beating him, and when Aaron Glenn got
you weren't head coach, bro.
when Aaron Glenn got on the stand, he did nothing but give respect to everybody. Talk about what he wants to do as a Jets head coach. It wasn't about what happened in Detroit and all that. It was about what we're going to do as the Jets right now. And you can kind of tell. And I totally agree. They're like brothers. You know,
And
and
I'm
nothing
gonna
to be able to separate them because you can tell Aaron Glenn has so much respect for him, and he's going to take that with him for the rest of his coaching career.
Go ahead, Sonia.
And I made a mistake. That's why I was saying Saints. In my mind, I was thinking when Glenn was with the Saints as defensive back, I was like, wait a minute, where did I get the Saints from? So I'm like, oh, he was defensive back coordinator. Then he came to you guys, and now he's.
And they also played at Texas A&M. They both were on Texas A&M. He was a defensive back, and Dan was a tight end. So they have a very strong relationship.
Yeah.
You know, the thing with Ben is that I think Ben gets too cute for himself sometimes, or overthinks himself. And I know as a Lions fan, that was my biggest problem I had with him, because at times where we needed him just to be simple and strategic, he was more out of the box trying to pull stuff out of his ass, and it didn't always work. Sometimes it looked good, and sometimes it didn't look good.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
But the last thing I'll say about these two is that this is the difference between a leader and a coach.
Yep.
And there's a difference. Not every coach is a leader. Not every leader is a coach.
Absolutely.
AG is a leader. That's why he is a head coach, and that's why I think he's going to do good with the Jets, because they needed that culture change. They needed. He almost sounds like Dan whenever he gives his pressers. You know, like he talks about the culture. He talks about doing the right thing. He talks about, you're not going to like some of the stuff I do. That's what Dan says.
That's why I think Aaron Glenn is going to be the better head coach. Now, that's not taking anything away from Ben Johnson, because he's done great things for our team, right? But Aaron Glenn is more focused on the bigger picture rather than just the now.
Sure.
He's focused on the bigger picture. And
Ben Johnson's got to win.
When we talk a little bit more, Nate, it all makes sense. But Aaron Glenn is more focused on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And you can see.
And Ben Johnson's got to win. Like, if he doesn't win in the next couple of years, he's going to get fired.
Now,
like, they fired worse coaches at one more.
Next year,
he's going to be coaching in college.
It's going to be a fire under his ass if he don't win in the 25-26 season. Best believe Chicago going to be calling for his head. I guarantee you that.
He's going to be coaching at Utah Community College.
I don't know if it'll be that drastic. I think he's an able offensive coordinator, but if it doesn't work out, you know, every coordinator doesn't always make a good head coach.
Exactly.
So
Josh McDaniels the perfect example. He was not a good
Eberflus is a bad coach, but he was definitely a force on the defensive side. You could tell that when he left.
When
Matt
he left
Patricia
the
is not a
Patriots,
defensive
that
coach.
Listen, don't forget about
that was Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Well, Patricia was crap anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So he was.
We don't speak those words, Sonia. We don't speak those words.
Oh, really?
Patricia was crap.
You guys spazzed out. Anybody would
all right.
He's not a good coach. Obviously, Philadelphia showed that.
Anybody that's got a girl's first name for their last name, you already know they're a pansy. Patricia, what a pansy.
I love it.
He's like a offensive or defensive coordinator down at Ohio State now.
Who cares?
Yeah,
defensive coordinator. He's a defensive coordinator.
He's a water boy coordinator.
All right. We're gonna get down the weeds here. So let's go on to free agency. Let's talk about the Lions free agents signings. I'm only gonna highlight a little bit. Okay, well, you put them on the list
because I want to save this for later.
No, you can talk right now.
Well, you're going to save it for later because that's going to be the next. That's going to be after.
Yeah, that's where he's going to tear it apart. Yeah. I got one too, boy.
Can I give you a grade?
How about no? Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Grades are you can't grade anything until you see them on the field. To be honest with you, you really don't know. Give me out of this list of players we have so far, give me your most impactful player this season. B or
who
J,
I think is going to be impactful, or who I want to be.
Give me your most impactful player on this list.
I'm going to say Derek Barnes.
Okay, why Derek Barnes?
I think Derek Barnes has shown that he could be like a really good linebacker, almost at an elite level. Not sure he's an off-ball linebacker. I think they overpaid for it, but, I mean, the skill is there. It was there. It was showing in the playoffs a couple years ago, not 2 years ago, you could say, and it showed when he was on the field last season. And I think he's going to take a step forward. He's been working out. You know he want to get back. He's hungry, just like everybody else. I think he's probably going to be the most impactful player out of all these people.
Why do you think he got overpaid? Because I don't think he got overpaid.
He's an off-ball linebacker. He's part-time.
But look how much the Eagles gave Zach Bond for 1 year.
He's not going to.
Just in comparison,
he's not going to be on the field most of the game. You understand what I'm
saying? He's a Sam linebacker. I mean, I think actually
that's going to be Campbell and
hold on. With
Anzalone.
With Shepard calling the plays now. This is important. With Shepard now being the defensive coordinator and him coaching the linebacker room, you don't think his linebackers are going to have a little bit more special packages under his schemes? I think I'm hoping, this is what I'm hoping for. I hope they rush Derek Barnes, because Derek Barnes can show ability to rush the passer. He did that at Purdue, and they turned him into a linebacker. I would like to see that more.
It's possible, but we don't know the scheme yet. We don't know how it's going to be ran yet. But, I mean, for what we know of Derek Barnes now, he's an off-ball part-time linebacker. He's not going to be on the field for 75, 80% of the snaps like Anzalone and Campbell will. Still got Rodrigo you have to work in and out of that rotation. You got a couple guys that can work in and out of that rotation. I do expect.
Yeah, I was surprised by the signing.
First of all, the Lions play man coverage defense. They play an aggressive man coverage defense. They start with the 3-4 defense. So Derek Barnes is basically a starter. Okay, he's a starter. Now, when he comes out in and out of it's because of packages that are on a defense. It ain't because he's not a starter. It's because of the packages that are.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Yeah,
Anzalone doesn't play all either. If you ever noticed, he does play a lot, yes, but he comes out of there on certain packages. So you have to understand that and Derek Barnes is probably the least of the three that will, or the most of the three that'll get taken out, because his packages on that side are different. For his
what's
like you say, Nate, he could rush as well. We know he could rush as well. Like, I think they use him differently, but specifically as a linebacker, you know who the linebackers that they're really,
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I wanted to add to that. If you talk about the money they paid him, because the money they paid him is important. You pay your players if you're going to have a bigger impact on your team. And I think they paid him by the sense that they're going to have a rotation of 3 linebackers that they can put in and put out. I mean, and so I think that they look at it like, hey, if we need to pull Campbell out, we can put Barnes in. If we need to put Alex out, they can interchange him out. Alex has played the Mike. Campbell is mostly the Mike. Barnes can play the Will or the Sam, or he plays the Sam. Maybe they put Campbell at the Sam. I think honestly you could rotate all these 3 guys.
Yeah, but
honestly.
They haven't done it yet, is what I'm saying.
They haven't. Okay.
So I want to go based off of what we know.
But we don't know. But that's what I'm trying to say.
Like
you don't know.
Like right now, previous season, we know the Lions ran a lot of man. They ran a shit ton of man. But we say Kelvin Shepard is going to be that man coverage guy, and we assume like a 50-50 guy.
That's my point, Jay. You're proving my point.
Yeah.
We don't know what Kelvin's going to run. We think it's going to be similar to what AG did because he was under AG. But when you're your own man, like we talk about with Shedeur and Dion, you separate yourself from whatever somebody else does. Kelvin's going to do his own thing but it's going to be within the Lions scheme. But like I said, the fact that he coached the linebacking room, you don't think he's going to have a special plan for these 3 linebackers in games?
I don't know. I can't say yes or no. I can't say yes or no because then it'd be strictly based off of my opinion, and I don't know.
I think that they're going to keep the same defense. It's not about separatism in this whole situation. If a team is running something, and that's what their scheme is under that particular head coach, that's what the hell they're running, no matter what defensive coordinator is. That's the reason why Detroit promoted from within, because that's the defense they want to run. Now, as you're saying, Shepard has changed some kind of scheme up in the defense, yes, to be different and come with different blitzes or different blitz packages. But that's the scheme is going to, the actual defensive scheme is going to stay the same.
Yeah, or the rotations. That's what I'm trying to say is that he believes so much in these 3 linebackers. He talks about all the time in his pressers. I find it hard to believe that he's not going to find ways to get them all on the field at some point.
He might. that'll be based off of again, opinion. We don't know how it's going to work.
Well, yeah, we don't know. I'm just saying it.
I have to agree with B, and I didn't really think of it from that perspective. B, like they're going to keep the same. They could possibly keep the same scheme, right? Things could possibly be the same because this is also Dan Campbell's team as well. He's going to okay what he wants to run, right?
Everything runs through Dan. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so I don't know. I just think, in my opinion, at that point, Derek Barnes got a little bit overpaid. I'm not mad at it. I'm not stumping up and down about it because he's a good player. I like Derek Barnes. I think, like I said, I think he's going to take another step.
The last thing I'll say about Derek Barnes is that when we had Turner out there, we had Quan Alexander, we had, who was the other linebacker we had that we picked up off the streets?
Nowaski. Nowaski.
Well, yeah, Nowaski. I like Nowaski. I mean,
Anthony Pittman.
Pittman. Okay. I would have loved to have Derek Barnes in that situation. That's all I'm going to say.
Pittman.
So that's why you got paid, Jay. That's why you got paid.
100%. I would rather have him out there.
He made money. He made money because they knew they needed him.
Of course.
All right.
Looking at this, like the signing, I'm gonna tell you my bad ones first because I didn't. Ezekiel Turner, hell no. That dude can't cover nothing. He can't run stop. He was doing a good job in his first game, but then after that, he fell completely off.
Yeah.
Anthony Pittman, I don't know what the hell they keep seeing in this guy because he's not good either.
Special teams.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't even, and I understand the Kenny Yeboah signing because they're losing. They might lose.
Well, they didn't tender Stilstra.
Well, not yet. He's still a free agent. So he, but the linebacker Grant Stewart, he might be the guy that you might look at as the underrated one. Yeah, I don't know about special team. He is a pretty good linebacker too. But he might be the guy that might be the underrated one of this whole group. DJ Reed, I definitely think he's going to do good things for this defense. So
I was
he's
thinking
an undersized
DJ
player,
Reed
but he's more aggressive than CD is.
Yep.
He can put the he's more aggressive because he's like a Chihuahua. You know how small dogs like to attack stuff.
I would say pit bull.
Pit bulls could be.
I don't fear a Chihuahua. I fear a pit bull, and I think that's.
You ain't never been around Chihuahuas, have you? Chihuahuas, they don't like you or they want to attack you. They're gonna attack you. You're like,
kick that thing to the
small cats that don't like you. But yeah, I mean, and the Marcus Davenport we got to throw that up in the air right now because I don't know what Dan is planning to do. I don't know what the front office is planning to do. I think this is a depth signing. Hopefully it's not because they think he can start because I'd be mad as hell if they start him.
Yes.
But
I read Josh Pascal right now as a starter.
Pascal, no. Pascal's just as bad.
Would you rather have him than Davenport starting?
I wouldn't want either one of them to tell you the truth.
But if you had a choice, between one of them,
I'd rather have somebody off the street start.
Anyway, instead of having them sign,
you're voiding the question. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jay. What'd you say?
I'm not avoiding the question. I'm telling you exactly what I would do.
Yeah, but I'm asking if you had a choice between one of the two. I would rather have Pascal over Davenport.
Screw that.
Okay.
I wouldn't want either.
Politically correct answer. Go ahead, Jay.
Instead of having Davenport, soup me up. I would rather.
You still got, and on the edge, you still have people that are free agents out there. You still got Ojulari, which I'm surprised nobody's gone after yet.
I think he's got some serious injury issues because I read something about him.
He's good. But he stays injured.
But that would be up Brad Holmes' tailpipe anyway. But at least he was producing more than what Davenport and Pascal were before they got injured.
I agree with you, B. But if he's injured,
I'd rather have the worst. I'd rather have the better of the the three evils than have those other two start. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about it later. But the Hendrickson thing. So there's got to be a plan. I'm hoping there's a plan for this defensive end.
If you have to question what Brad's doing, you don't know what Brad's doing.
Nobody knows what Brad's doing. That's the point.
But
he needs to do something because that's a need.
I can guarantee you my life savings. We're not going into the new
season. Y'all want to?
What's up, Will?
Y'all just want to get started with this because we really like diving into our debate without even.
We got time. Don't worry about it. We got time, dude. Calm down. I know you're ready to tear my head off. Don't worry. I'm ready.
Man. Well,
all right. Let me go mine.
We got one more. We got the free agents that they have right now.
Yeah.
These are the Lions free agents that they have right now that they haven't signed yet. So
they may as well go ahead and drop Teddy Bridgewater, honey. He is the quarterback dangler.
Well, they signed Kyle.
They got Kyle, and which another thing I think we should talk about is Hooker possibly trade bait. I think so.
You gotta have 3 quarterbacks.
I have.
You think they're gonna really? I mean, Jake from State Farm. He's okay, but I wouldn't.
He could be your third quarterback and put Kyle Allen behind.
You might as well just kept Teddy Bridgewater there and signed.
Well, you can still do that.
Kyle
That's what I'm saying.
And traded that.
Okay, so if you re-sign Teddy Bridgewater, what does that mean for Hooker? He's gone.
You can trade him.
That pretty much right on the wall.
Y'all wouldn't be upset at that if they traded Hooker though.
No.
Not even a little.
Because Goff's our starter. Goff's our starter, man.
Well, yeah, it not about being a starter, but really quick, I'm gonna say 2 lines and that's it. But more so, what they invested in him and Hooker, and what we could have.
That is tough to swallow because it's a third round pick. I'm with you on that.
That's definitely a tough pill to swallow right there. But that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, but I mean, like he's 27 years old. You know, he's gonna be a career backup unless he gets a starting position. We haven't really seen him throw. He can run the football pretty well. You know, you're not going to get a lot for him. And my methodology is if you're not going to get anything for him, you might as well just keep him. He's on a rookie deal. He's not costing you a lot of money. You can still, Brew can still work with him and get him better. But I think the Kyle Allen signing, and you have Fromm on there too, that tells me that they don't believe in Hooker, man. They need more of a veteran presence with Goff.
We're putting all this assumption. We're putting all this assumption on here too. You got to remember that there's going to be people that are going to be playing on the practice squad. So all these free agents and all these practice.
He always gets
all these practice squad.
Yeah,
has to be. They got to have something for that.
But they did throw a little bit of change.
All these
to
players
Kyle
might
Allen.
play. They might get rid of Fromm. You don't know all that yet until the season takes format. They get into training camp.
Oh no, for sure.
The exhibition season, and then
Did y'all know Amon-Ra St. Brown is on that list?
What list?
What are you talking about?
No.
For free agents.
No,
he's not.
No, he's good.
When did he say he's just signed it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
last year.
Years ago. Yeah.
No,
he's a lion for life.
Hey, Sonya, why you playing with my feelings like that?
Oh my God, Jay, you should know better than that. He signed him last offseason.
Last year when they signed Goff and
Jay, I'm more worried about you, Jay, that you didn't know that than she did.
Let me give this result I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. It's a bad site, clearly, because I was like, why did I not hear about this?
It's probably a troll site.
Go Blue.
All right.
They wish he was a free agent.
So out of all right, they won. Good job. Yes. All right. So out of all these players that be listed here, I'll tell you one I would bring back. I want to bring back either John Kaminsky or Ham Mohammed, or both maybe, because they were impactful players, and you need depth behind Aiden and whoever else you bring on. Like those guys are cheap. They want to play for the Lions. Mohammed was productive. Kaminsky's had seasons where he's been productive. I think Kaminsky was one of the biggest losses we had on defense nobody even talked about. Because when Aiden went down, Kaminsky could have stepped into that starting role. Yeah. And he could have held down the fort.
It was big for Hutchinson.
Or we got Z, Kaminsky could have gone to the side with Z. So he was a huge loss. So I'm either bringing back Mohammed or Kaminsky. Nice. Good job, Wolverines.
Oh, good job.
Y'all beat the Whackers, the team from Wisconsin. Good job. All right. Anybody on there you would bring back?
I'd probably have the same thing that you said. I'd probably bring back Kaminsky. I'd probably, out of those two, I'd probably bring back Mohammed mostly.
Yeah,
because I think he made more of an impact than Kaminsky did. But the one I know they're not going to bring back, they better not bring him back, or I'm going to be slapping somebody that's silly. If they bring back Emmanuel Mosley, I'm seriously going to check somebody's brain matter in that whole situation. I pretty much figured they're not going to re-sign Michael Badgley.
Yeah.
They're not going to sign Michael Badgley because
they moved off of a lot of these players.
Yeah,
Jay,
Allen
are you bringing
Robinson
back any of
probably
these players on this list?
This point, yeah. I mean, I'm bringing back Al-Quadin Muhammad. I think he actually was pretty good, a good depth piece. He had to play
solid, yeah.
He wasn't. I don't think he was ready for the role, and I don't think he should have to take on that role we were expecting him to play. I'm definitely bringing Al-Quadin Muhammad back, though.
Okay. Anybody else?
I was going to say Muhammad myself, but I also want to ask you guys what your thoughts were on. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I agree with Muhammad, but I was also going to ask you guys what your thoughts were on Pat O'Connor.
He was serviceable.
I think he's a good depth piece, serviceable, like you say, Nate. But I'm not.
He wasn't good in the run game, run defense. He was terrible. They were pass rushing. He had some games.
That's what I was looking at, his pass rushing. That's why I was like, is that enough to bring him back alone?
I think we're really deep at D tackle right now. I think we have a lot of depth, especially adding Roy. We have a lot of depth now, and I think I don't know if there's room for Pat. Maybe you bring him back on a practice squad, or vet squad. Dan calls him.
Pat ain't coming back. You know why Pat ain't coming back?
Why?
He was supposed to be bait for Max Crosby.
Max
Crosby signed. Bye, Pat.
All right. On that note, let's talk about another guy that the Lions fans are helter-skelter about. Good and bad about bringing in Mr. Trey Henderson. Sorry, I can't say Hendrickson. So basically, the news have come out that says that the Bengals want a first-round draft pick, and Trey wants a lucrative contract, i.e., I want to be the best paid in the NFL, non-quarterback. Yay or nay? We'll start with Sonia first.
Go ahead, Jay.
Ladies. No, ladies first. Sonia.
Okay. I don't think so. I just feel like, for right now, it's become a market of, let me see if I can get paid more than this other player over here, no matter what position they play. If somebody's handing out water and they're getting $1,000 per game,
it's crazy.
Somebody's
going to
want $2,000. Yes. And it's become more of a money market than what's actually shown on the books, the tape, as Jay said. If you don't have the tape, how dare you come to me and say, I want to be the biggest paid of
They're overpaying for the value of the player.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see. I'm literally, even though I'm in law school, I'm gonna look and see if they need somebody to help pass out water and see how much they can get for that. 'Cause like y'all clearly are paying I'll take $1,000 a game, and that's chump change for them. But that's great money for me. Like 4 stacks per month just to go.
They're printing money like this every day.
Every day while we've been talking.
Right. So Sonia, you said no. B, I'll go to you next.
Yay.
Then Jay's already on it. Jay.
Yay.
Why yay?
Yay, but the Lions are not going to do it. I don't see it.
No, you gotta stick with the yay. Why the yay?
Yay, because he had the most sacks last year, right? And also,
there.
Three times since he's been in the league, he's been leading the league in pressures. Also, on top of that, we need
been very consistent. I agree.
But you want to be able to get a guy that can also get to the quarterback and stop the run. In the last 2 seasons combined, he's got 35 sacks. That's pretty good, considering that our team can go a couple games without getting a sack. I think Trey Hendrickson will be a good pickup for our team. What's up?
But you were on record saying because of his age, you wouldn't give him that big of a deal.
That right there, bingo, right there, which leads me to my next part. Now, he's been looking for a deal for the past, 3 years now? I think he wants to get paid. He wants to be
He's
paid.
Vastly underpaid, man. He's making $15 million a year.
He's going to get paid a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid, I think, right behind.
What's Max getting paid right now? What's Max annual?
Max is getting paid, 37, 38? Can you check that, B?
Yeah.
So if Max is getting paid 37, 38, and Hendricks is getting 15,
I think he's at least going to be. I think he's going to be. I want to hear what Max Crosby number is first, because I don't think he's going to get paid more than Crosby or Garrett. I don't see it happen. I think he can.
You just said his production level's been consistent, and he had the most sacks last year. Why wouldn't he get paid more than Crosby?
I think because, well, for one, who's going to pay that type of money into a person that's not their franchise player? Hendrickson isn't going to come and be a franchise player for a team. He's just looking.
If he's a non-paid, if he's one of the highest non-paid quarterbacks, he better be a franchise player.
But
because you're throwing this kind of money.
Who's going to do that though? Who's going to? I would get mad at Holmes if he did that.
The Panthers should do it.
They did that. But he's going to want to.
But not the most of any position. That's what's absurd. That's the part.
Yeah, like because I think Miles is getting 40 a season. Myles Garrett's getting like 40 a season now since he signed his extension. Crosby's like right there behind him.
You want to know who will pay it? Is somebody who has on a rookie contract for a quarterback, like the Panthers,
Commanders,
because you can throw the money.
Commanders,
yeah, Commanders should do it too. Yeah, they need a pass rusher. Oh, Bears. Mm-hmm. They got Sweat, and they got that guy. I can't pronounce his name. They're good. B, what do you think? Yay or nay?
Yeah, I take a chance on him. Sign him to a 3-year contract. The dude has, I mean, all the stats are pointing up on him anyway. He averages 9 sacks per season since he's been in. He's had his most productivity out of the last 5 years. He's had 13.5 sacks. Now, this is the last year when he got his contract from Cincinnati because he was playing for New Orleans. Sonia should know that. And then Cincinnati, he went to Cincinnati, got 14 sacks. And then in 22, he got 8. And then back-to-back seasons, 23 and 24, he got 17.5 sacks. He's created
and durable too.
At least, yeah, he's got 14 forced fumbles over his career. And yeah, his pressure rate is very high too. I just don't see there's a downside to this whole situation. I think especially with Hutch being on the other side. I mean, who are you gonna double team?
Yeah,
it's like let's meet at the quarterback. That's why I look at it. If you got him,
it'd be easier. It'd be easier on your defensive coordinator and your defensive lineman who's coming back from a horrible injury. Hendrickson,
though his annual market value will go up.
Oh
yeah, he's like kind of like it's kind of like the Hassan Reddick thing, because Hassan Reddick was really getting underpaid for his position too. I mean, really getting underpaid. He's still getting underpaid.
Yeah.
He just signed a
1-year deal. He signed a 1-year deal,
$15 million, which he was getting paid anyway. So I'm like, dude, you didn't even fight for that.
All that ranting for nothing.
Right. But his calculated market value per annual is $31.5 million. Now that's the only thing that the Lions, I don't think they would mind giving up draft picks, but they will mind.
$30 million
money.
Yeah,
it's all about the money.
It's so shocking. He froze up again.
And here's my point of why I'm 50-50 on it, because the first round draft pick don't mean nothing. When you're drafting in the late 20s, it's a second round pick. The way I look at it, it might as well be a second round pick. Mm-hmm. So the money is where I'm tied up with, because you just gave Goff a bag, you gave Penei Sewell a bag, you gave Amon-Ra St. Brown a bag. Just FYI, Sonia, you gave Mac a bag. You've given a lot of your great players a bag already. You're gonna give Aiden Hutchinson a bag. And Trey's going to want a bag. I don't know how many more bags you can put in there. Like
give him a department store.
Yeah,
something.
Credit.
Something. It pains me because it's like I don't care. It ain't my money. Salary cap goes up every season.
Well, yeah, but no fan cares.
What team?
What he said
in the league. What team in the league has 2 premier pass rushers that they're paying and they're going to give big extensions to?
Right.
Nobody. That's the key.
That's the shit that pisses me off, because
you can't afford 2 premier pass rushers when you have a quarterback you're paying.
But with us with the Lions got the 6th most cap space in the NFL right now. And when that time comes to give out more extensions, the salary cap will have been gone up.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, they're going to reconstruct Goff contract in about a year or two anyway.
But Jay,
that means we're stuck with him more long term, and we have a little bit more cap.
But Jay, you just proved the point I was making, because you said, how many premier pass rushers do NFL teams have?
But
really, one.
I said after that.
Hold up. But they're not paying two. You know why they can't pay two? Because you can't have that much cap tied into two players when you're already paying your quarterback.
Did you hear what I said after that, though,
I
Nate?
know what you're saying,
because
but
what I'm telling you is, Nate, is that a lot of people, like with the Lions and Aiden Hutchinson, they have contractual control over Hutchinson for the next 2 years. Why are we so in a rush to pay him? Yeah, it's going to get more expensive, obviously, but Hutch ain't going nowhere anyway, right? We know he's going to get a big bag. And if he gets extended now, he may be the highest paid defensive end in the league right now. So whether you do it now or in the next 2 years, does it really matter?
And see, Brad, this is kind of going into the Brad debate. Brad is more about looking forward, not waiting till the last minute. Look at Jerry Jones. He waits the last minute to pay his players, and he overpays them. He overpays Dak when the market goes high. He overpays CeeDee Lamb. You pay your great players early because you get them out of the way. You don't want to kick that can down too far, because what if they outplay their contract over and over again? Then it becomes more expensive, and you might not be able to keep them.
I have a question. Who gets paid first, Micah Parsons or Aiden Hutchinson?
Parsons.
You think Parsons go? So
Dallas better pay Parsons ASAP.
To prove my point to you, Nate, that means that it's going to be damn sure that Aiden Hutchinson and Micah Parsons are going to be 1A, 1B when it comes to defensive ends making money in the league.
Yeah.
Right or wrong. And like I said, we have
you're right.
control over Hutchinson for the next 2 years.
But here's the thing too.
Well, right? And we talk about salary cap, and we're like, well, we got to pay Kirby Joseph. We got to pay these guys.
Yeah.
First off, I don't think the Lions are going to pay Kirby Joseph, because if they do right now, they're going to be crazy, because you know who's going to be next down the line? Brian Branch. Are you going to have 2 top-tier players on the defense?
But has Brian Branch earned a big payday? No, he hasn't. Kirby Joseph has.
Not yet, but are you – so let's just say he goes out and have a year like he did this year, next year, right? You know he's going to want a big contract extension. You're not getting rid of Brian Branch. You gave up draft picks to get him. You knew that was going to be your secondary guy right there, like the face of the secondary is Brian Branch. You're not getting rid of him. You're not going to turn him down whatever request he wants. You're not going to do that.
Well, I would turn him down if he's asking for more than what Kirby's done. So Kirby's a ball hog, dude. Kirby led the NFL in interceptions. He probably leads the NFL in interceptions since he's been in the league.
Yeah, he has.
Are you really?
That's what I'm hung up on. The fact that you're
Kirby Joseph over Branch
money than any position is crazy. That's what
it is. It is. It's a big risk. It's a big risk. And one thing, and we're going to lead into the debate between Brad. One thing about Brad, man, is Brad does not overpay players. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care whatever. He does not overpay players.
Right. And something we
were Brad.
Like, dig this. Remember, you were talking about like Brad Holmes wait to the perfect time. He likes to get it out of the way early. So we were able to beat other teams to the punch when it came to
exactly
Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, but we didn't do that with Aiden Hutchinson. Other teams already got
I mean, we can't do that right now. I mean, he just came off a broken leg. We got to see what he's coming.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Right now with Aiden Hutchinson, even we know they're going to pay Hutchinson. There's no doubt about it. He's not going anywhere. I don't care if he went out and had 1 sack next season. They're not getting rid of Aiden Hutchinson. They're going to pay him. It's just when you pay him. So
I think
the problem with this whole situation is there's too many people paying people way before they need to be paid. Now, Kirby Joseph has 1 more year on his contract this year, and then he's a UFA in 2026. Same thing with Aiden Hutchinson. Don't pay these players early. Sorry, just don't do it, because you got to see what they do in that nickel of time that they're here. You can't just go out there and say, okay, well, you got this many and you're the great hope of this team, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to give you all this money. And then they turn it, because you've seen that many times when people do those extensions, that player.
No, you're right. You're right. Let me ask you this question. Okay?
Play for that contract.
Hypothetically, if Aiden doesn't break his leg, and let's say he was on pace for probably 15, 16 sacks. Let's just say 16 sacks, okay? And let's say I honestly think he was Defensive Player of the Year too. He was Defensive Player of the Year and he's 16 sacks. Would you even balk at giving him an extension right now?
Not at all. Not at all.
B?
Not at all.
That's my point.
The thing is that
so I mean, if he's coming off a major injury, there is risk now that you have to see how he's going to come back and how he's going to look.
You don't pay him right now.
So what's the rush, Nate? Is my question to you. What's the rush?
Well, it's not a rush. The way I look at it is that, listen, if you haven't paid a top premier pass rusher who you expect is going to get a bag, I don't think that you need to pay another one on top of that, because you're going to have to pay that check at some point.
Yeah.
And the thing is that
other teams find ways. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of teams that play too high priced receivers, and receivers get paid. There's a lot of teams that do that. And if it's going to be that we have a lower tier offensive group, they're lower tier. Not everybody on there is getting paid. Even Amon-Ra is not really getting paid. He's dropped down in the receiver totally, and any of those guys.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a decision on what side of the ball you're going to really want to pay, it depends. It depends, not necessarily. If you're weak on a defense, your offense is provided last year was an anomaly. I'm just saying that. Your offense is not going to win you every game. Your defense has got to come in there.
Right, but here I'm going to push back on
you paying Trey Dennis. Hold on, listen. I'm not done.
Okay.
First of all, you got to everybody, just like what Jay says. Everybody restructures contracts. The salary keeps going up. The salary cap keeps going up. With those two things interacting, you can keep Trey Hendrickson. You can keep Trey Hendrickson and Aiden Hutchinson. That's all I'm saying. It's a maturation of both things that have to be done. Goff can give back some money. There's a lot of players on that team that are getting high contracts that can give back money, and we haven't even started with
the way I look at it is that, like, when you're building a team, you look at the two teams that are in Super Bowl, the Chiefs and the Eagles. They pay a lot of money on offense. Chiefs pay Chris Jones on defense. That's their most expensive player. The rest of the guys are all rookies or first-year, second-year guys. They're not making anything. You look at the Eagles. They put all their money on offense. All their defense is draft picks. First or second-year guys, cheap guys. So the way I've always heard it from all NFL heads is that you pay on offense and you draft on defense, because you have to keep your defense young in order to afford your stars on offense. The Lions have done that. They've paid all their stars on offense. Maybe J-Mo is going to get a contract extension, Laporta at some point, but you've paid your big wigs on offense. You've got to hit on the draft on the defense and keep your defense.
They paid their core players on offense, right? Quarterback,
right?
One wide receiver, and your best offensive tackle, right?
Sure. Those are your star players. You have to have a star tackle. You have to have a star receiver, a star running back, a star quarterback.
Everything centers around Jared Goff, St. Brown, and Penei Sewell.
That's why you see the Lions don't pay a lot on defense. That's why they let Carlton Davis go, because they're not going to pay him $20 million.
There is a fault. And that right there is a fault. Why? Because
we're about to get into the fight. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. We're about to get into the fight. I'm ready for this. Let's go.
And right there, that's a fault. And B, if you want to ring the bell.
Ring the bell, you pansy.
I'm coming out of Southpaw.
Yeah,
I like that. But really quick, I think that right there is a fault. Why? Because the Lions have not really addressed a lot of defensive positions that they needed to in the draft, right? Can we agree upon that, right? You got
what position are you talking about?
You got Hutch, which fell in your lap. We can agree that it wasn't like some mastermind move right there. You were going with
it was a no-brainer to get him.
It was a no-brainer, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So also, what other defensive lineman did he get that came in and made an impact outside of Elaine McNeil?
I mean,
Pascal? No. Onzarike?
Yeah,
no.
but
Broderick Martin? No. You understand what I'm saying? Who do we?
I do. But look at where you're slotting these guys. Pascal, yes, he was a second round pick. Yes, Levi Onwuzurike was a second round pick. Martin was like a fourth or third pick or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about
him.
Okay.
And they traded up to get him.
But we talk about it all the time. The draft's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to find after the first round. Hell, you don't even know what you're going to find after the top 10.
Right, and that's the part that makes me even more angry because you invested a lot in Broderick Martin. I don't think he's played over 10 games. You traded.
I wouldn't say invested a lot in him. I mean, what is that definition of invested?
Picks. It's so many.
Yeah, but you traded like low round draft picks for him. Who cares?
Like all shit I do, and obviously Brad Holmes does because he hold on to those draft picks like people holding on to pearls about to get robbed.
Well, he has to. I mean, okay.
Because
if you're a GM,
hold on, Nate. Like this, when we talk about draft being a crapshoot, we know that. But this is why you have scouts. This is why you have evaluators. You have all of those people to come together and say, "This is our guy." You go in with the intention of finding the best possible players. No projects. We aren't in a position to make to draft projects. We have multiple holes to fill. As a 15-2 team, we have to let that go because that was an anomaly. I don't think that will ever happen in our lifetime again. Very few teams only lose 1 or 2 games, right? We had a defense that solely relied on stopping the ball in the red zone in order to get stops on defense.
On third down,
what'd you say?
On third downs, too.
You know, we had to focus on that. Whereas, you know, we had a hard time after Hutch went down, we had a hard time getting to the damn quarterback. We had a hard time getting in the back.
Sure. When you lose star players, that's what happens because your backups aren't as good as your starters. And if they were, they probably would be a starter.
But exactly what I'm saying is that we weren't prepared to lose these people. You know, every team has injuries.
What team is prepared to lose their star players, Jay?
Every team has injuries, right?
Yeah, but not every team is as deep as you think they are, man. You take away some of the best players and they
Brandon Graham,
here we go.
People on that Philadelphia defense went down. They sure did. Nakobe Dean is one of their best players on defense.
Yeah, and outside, okay. You want to talk Eagles? Fine, let's talk Eagles.
No.
Outside of Jalen Carter, who is our potential on that D line?
Say that again.
Our potential on that D line outside of Jalen Carter.
Who's that? Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith. These are
Brandon Graham's retired.
They're mid to average players. I mean, come on, man.
Coming in, tearing his pectoral muscle again, still played through the whole game and made an impact on that team. He's been there since the Middle Ages. He's like over 30-something years old. But here's the point.
If
I'm not mistaken. Okay. I think he had a bit of a more experience and better than who we had on our D line when Hutchinson went down.
Okay, fine. You take the D line. He's hit on the linebackers. He's hit on the secondary.
Has he?
Yeah. Barnes is good. Jack is going to be good.
Oh,
Alex is a free agent.
I really think that the Lions linebackers could possibly be a little bit better. I just have to compare and contrast. But the secondary, not even close. Eagles secondary is much better than our secondary.
We're not comparing the Eagles.
Whoa. Talking about with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean being on rookie contracts, being rookies.
1 year, bro. Let's see what they do in year 2 when there's tape. Let's see what they do with tape.
Thank you, Nate. They had Darius Slay. You know who we had out there? We had Terry Narno, who, by the way, was up there in pass interference calls in the league. We had Amik Robertson, who broke his arm. We had who else? Emmanuel Mosley, Kendall Vildor. Carlton Davis broke his fucking jaw in week, 13, 14? And we had to go up against high-power offenses. They were much better in the secondary. Yeah, we got Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch.
Hey, Jay, what are you exactly trying to say? Because I kind of feel like
what I'm trying to tell you is that we could upgrade at multiple positions on defense. We aren't as deep as you think we are on defense. Our defense is still really.
I never said we were that deep. I said we need to create more depth, but we also lost our depth and we lost starters last year.
Right. And you know what he did, and you know what Brad Holmes did to address that? Absolutely nothing.
That's bullshit.
Absolutely nothing.
That's bullshit.
What did he add?
He added DJ Reed, who's a better cornerback. That helps our secondary.
Similar, not better, but
y'all. I know y'all shit
better.
on Roy
He's
Lopez.
better.
Roy Lopez is going to be a starter for this.
He's not similar.
Definitely similar.
Okay, I'm gonna knock you down right here, Jay. First of all, they're not similar. They might have similar stats, but the difference is, you even said this. Cornerback CD was a number 1 cornerback for all his career, right?
Of course.
And DJ Reed is a similar stats, was a number 2. So if you're a number 2, you have similar stats to a number 1. What does that make you? Better than him? Because he's playing at a number 1 level, isn't he? There you go.
Can we name a person that Carlton Davis played on?
I mean, he was playing with Sauce, man. You don't think he got targeted?
Wait until Carlton Davis plays with Gonzalez. You think Gonzalez is going to be a cornerback too? No, he's not.
Who was the number 2 cornerback in Tampa Bay? He played along Sauce Gardner. He had to get targeted because Sauce Gardner is out there on the island.
Yeah, and he held his own. He held his own.
Exceptional job.
Yeah. He held his own, but what I'm telling you is that Carlton Davis and DJ Reed, they're not like, oh my God, he's just so much better. What's better about him? He's cheaper. You know what I'm saying? He also
that's important too. If you're gonna have to pay somebody later.
And well, obviously, Nate, and he gets handsy as well. Carlton Davis didn't get and draw as many penalties as DJ Reed does. That's a big factor. You want to know their coverage rates and stuff like that? It's very similar. Very similar.
But
Right now, my bad. Hold on really quick. I really got to get this off my chest. Right now, I would rather have DJ Reed. Undoubtedly rather have DJ Reed because Carlton Davis took a big drop off. He's not the same and he's more expensive, where DJ Reed is still good, still kind of in his prime. Like, I mean, I would obviously take DJ Reed. But as a body of work, I'll definitely take Carlton Davis.
The way I look at it, Jay, is if Carlton Davis, okay, he was on the Super Bowl team. There's no doubt about that. He was part of that Super Bowl team, okay? The fact is that if you won a Super Bowl with the team and you were part of that team, why did they keep him?
Say that again.
Why did they not keep him? Why did they trade him?
Davis?
Yes.
The Bucks, because he's not the same who he was.
Okay, that's one. It wasn't. What's another reason?
Big money.
He wanted primo number 1 quarterback.
Big money. Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say, is that he's wanting more than he's valued at. Mm-hmm. And that's why DJ Reed make more sense, because DJ Reed's play is on the level of Carlton Davis now. And on top of that, he's cheaper than Carlton Davis.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the part where I'm like, I will definitely rather have DJ Reed because it makes sense for our team, right? It makes sense for contract reasons. He's not expensive. He come here, he can do just as much, maybe a tad bit more. Like I say, they're like this to me. I'm not looking at it like just this huge upgrade. But, Carlton Davis, like, he hadn't finished a season in a couple years either. He's always finished the season hurt.
Yeah, and DJ Reed's been pretty healthy. He's been pretty durable. He's been pretty durable. That's a big thing too.
We have to make sure that first DJ Reed fits in our system with this new coordinator. We would have had to done the same thing with Carlton Davis. We just know Carlton Davis is a little bit more proven, right? And another thing, Nate, I want to get back to the defensive line talk because you and I, we went round and round like a roller coaster with this.
Go ahead.
With our defensive line, who do you think makes the most impact on the defensive line?
Right now?
Yes.
Probably Mack or Hutch.
Mack or Hutch, right? So Hutchinson with this big, because we were talking about Myles Garrett and we were talking about arguing, trading for defensive ends and signing defensive ends and stuff like that. Don't you think Aiden Hutchinson need another pass rusher alongside of him?
I do, but I do, but here's my thing. You have to understand, and this is out of the horse's mouth. This is not out of my mouth. This is not my opinion. This is out of the horse's mouth. When they talk about getting another end to pair with Hutch, you have to understand that it's not just about getting the best pass rusher to get to the quarterback makes sense. You're talking about integrity. You're talking about stopping the run. You're talking about defending the run. Like, those ends are very hard to find. Now, Trey Hendricks fits that role. He could probably stop the run. He can rush the quarterback. That's why he's going to get paid a buttload of money. So Aiden's that type of guy. He's shown he can stop the run and he can rush the passer. But it has to be the right fit for Aiden. It can't just be a guy that's just trying to get to the quarterback, because if you try to run after the quarterback and you don't take your responsibility of stopping the run, they're just going to throw on the outside, or the quarterback's going to run out. You know, we've seen that so many times in some of these ends where they don't have. Oh yeah, Sonia. Yeah, definitely. It was good to have you.
This was
Definitely
fun,
come on
guys.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna get off here soon too, because I gotta go get my froyo and
Yeah.
close here soon. Sonya, I appreciate it. You know, nice meeting you again.
Thanks, guys. No,
Yeah.
I had a dental procedure a few days ago, nose, and I got to take my medicine. I'm starting to get a little tired.
For
too,
sure.
so. But thank you, guys. This
Okay.
was fun. Please have me on again.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
definitely.
Anytime.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Y'all too. Okay, bye.
All right.
Yeah, you know, we were arguing. We went round and round about, you know.
Yeah,
like
but the thing
person
is that you have to have the right
guy.
guy, man. You can't just throw anybody into that D line and expect them to just be
while
balls
we
out.
agree with that, have the Lions made the proper move to put the right guy there? Because I'm not going to put a rookie defensive lineman there. I don't care who the hell it is. I'm not going to put a rookie defensive lineman right there and then expect him to be like, okay, you're going to be that guy. I'm not going to do it.
Well, the only problem is right now is if you look at the market, all the good pass rushers are either tagged or re-signed.
Now,
if you're really that good of a pass rusher, you aren't on the free agency market. Period. If you're on the free agency market, right? No, name me the last pass rusher that was on the free agency market.
Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat.
Premier, I'm talking but top of the line premier pass rushers. They're good. They're good pass rushers, but they're not premier.
You talking about top?
Yes.
Well, Hassan Reddick is a premier pass rusher. He was third in the last 6 years in sacks. So no, he was a fourth, I say, because he was after Hendricks.
Okay, but Hassan's on there for a reason, because that whole deal with the Jets. Like, if he would have signed with the Jets, he probably would have signed.
He's been on there though. That's what I'm saying. He's been on there. It ain't got nothing to do with what happened last year.
But look, he only signed a 1 year deal
on Philadelphia and the year before that.
Okay, fine. Hassan can be the exception to the rule. Go ahead.
Only reason why I have a bad, but I give him his respect because the man can play. It would be disingenuous to say that he can't play, right? But it's just what he did last year kind of just turns me off a little bit, because, you held out for a contract and then you didn't really go out there and do much. I know you played only a couple of games and everything, but it just didn't seem right. He lost a lot of respect from a lot of people from what he did last year. So, I respect him.
Well, I'm sure he lost a lot of respect for a lot of people who didn't pay him what the fuck he needed to be paid. That's the point.
That's true.
That's what I didn't care about all that other crap. Fuck that.
That's true too. But
that dude deserved all the money he deserved, and he sat out. And I knew he was going to have a bad production, because when you sit up for that long, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay?
100%.
They did that to themselves.
Yeah. Somebody else I wanted too was Josh Sweat. I know you're not a big fan of Josh Sweat, but Josh Sweat he doesn't even have to be who he was in Philadelphia. He can be just another guy that can get pressured. Man, who was back there giving Mahomes hell that whole Super Bowl game? It was Josh Sweat. He was right there giving Mahomes hell more than any. I've never seen Mahomes.
But even Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick didn't get big money. That's my point. They settled for less. Like Josh Sweat, that's what I'm upset. You got a decent deal.
That's what I'm upset at right there, because I heard I've seen it on ESPN. I was at work. Okay, so I seen it on ESPN.
I know you put it on the chat. I know you did.
Yeah, and he put it on his X account. I'm hearing the truth.
Okay, Jay.
So I'm like, okay.
Jay, you have to understand there's two sides to the story.
Okay.
He can make a choice on where he wants to go. Well, okay, fine. He can decide where he wants to go. And you forget who was his defensive coordinator in Philadelphia.
It was that guy from Arizona, right? Can't think of his name.
Steichen.
What's his name?
Not Steichen. No, Shane, or I don't know, whatever his name is.
No, not Shane.
It's irrelevant.
All right.
No, I know. I don't know his name, but it's irrelevant. The point is that was his defensive coordinator, and that's why he went there, because they have a relationship and he knows how to utilize him. Relationships matter, man. I keep telling you that. Like Brad and Dan have a lot of relationships with a lot of these players, and that's why they bring him in.
It's Nick Rallis. Nick Rallis. But no, and one thing, money talks.
But you say that. Hold on. This is my other argument for Trey Henderson. He did play there.
He did.
When AG and Dan Campbell were there.
He did. You're right. Mm-hmm.
So
that's why it makes more sense.
I remember Dan Campbell and AG saying that they, when he got sent over to when Cincinnati got him off of free agency, which again he was a premier pass rusher. He got him off free agency. They were mad that they had let him go and they weren't able to re-sign him. But New Orleans has a real problem with salary cap functions. So that's the reason why they had to let him go. And see, that's the thing I'm saying. You want to say stability and knowing somebody. Trey Henderson, they know Trey Henderson. So I'm thinking that the reason why they signed DeMarcus, I don't play Davenport, is because he's a backup. They're signing him to be the backup to somebody that's going to start either. And I'm going to tell you something too. I understand where Jay is coming from as far as Brad is a good drafter, but you notice the most of the time he drafts is because he drafts offensive players. He's not really that great of defensive end position is horrible. Like you said, Aiden Hutchinson was a home run. You had no choice.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah.
But if you look at the defensive end position, this is the reason why he gets free agents to try to put him in that position, because he doesn't know how to draft a defensive end. He's not really good at doing
and
that.
Every GM has faults in drafting. They miss on things like that. Look at Howie. He can't draft a receiver. He's lucky he found Devontae Smith. He had to trade for AJ Brown.
He couldn't draft him to save his fucking life either.
He traded for the guy Jahan Dotson. He got Jahan Dotson, and he came across what's his name, Brown.
Yeah, but you're talking about trades. That's two different things.
Not drafting.
Yeah, we're talking about drafting. We're talking about drafting.
I look at that and say I don't think he needed to draft because you had AJ Brown at the time, right? I think Devontae Smith really kind of fell in their lap as well. I don't even think he had his quarterback at the time. He even had receivers. I mean, it could go either way, but he did make the necessary moves to get his team in order, right? Like, you look at how he constructed.
And you don't think Brad has?
Not on the defense, no. Definitely not on the defense.
I mean, B brought up a great point. If you look at the past drafts that Brad's had, he's hit on a lot of them on the offense because that's where all the capital's gone. You look at where look at where the defensive players outside of Aiden were drafted. Second round, fourth, fifth. So if you're drafting all these stalwarts on offense, it only leaves you the later rounds to hit on the defensive side, and that's the hard part.
I have a question for you. I have a legit question for you, because while we're bringing up them later round picks, let's talk about Josh Pascal. Do we agree that was not really a good pick? It was just like an okay pick. It was an okay pick.
Right? I mean, depth pick.
Who went like two?
They picked him to be a starter.
2 or 3 rounds later. You know who went like 2 or 3 rounds later? Not picks, but rounds. Nakobe Dean.
Dude, the guy who's on injury all the time.
But
I'll pass.
He played and he literally got injured. The NFC Championship game? He got injured. Nakobe Dean.
He's been injured his whole career, bro. This is the first year he actually was healthy.
He mentored Jalen Carter, another guy we could have gotten.
And that was in the top. That was in the top first round. Yeah, because we got Gibbs. I'm okay with that, man. I already told you that.
But no. Listen, mate. What I'm telling you is that let's say the Lions traded back and they got what was his name? Jalen Carter. Yeah, we wouldn't have Gibbs, but you don't think you don't trust Brad Holmes to go out and draft another running back? While I love Gibbs,
I don't know. I don't know if the Gibbs talent is Gibbs. That's the same thing for Carter.
I love Gibbs and everything, but Jalen Carter is panning out to be like a generational type player. Can we say that about Gibbs? It's really early to say that about a running back.
I am not saying he's a generational type of player, dude. Not in his second year, bro. Come on. He didn't even make All-Pro, man. Come on.
I want to say he was amongst the highest rated.
Did he make All-Pro?
Lineman in the.
Did he make All-Pro?
Gibbs make All-Pro?
No. But did Carter make All-Pro? Because everybody's talking about Gibbs being the next second coming of whoever Bruce Tom or Thomas or whatever.
He can be. He can be the second coming. Listen, he can be the second coming of Bo Jackson, whoever. But one thing.
The point is, he didn't make all pro. So let's pump the brakes on Jalen Carter. I look at
when it comes to running backs have a lot of tread on their tires, and when they get to their first contract extension, they are already beat up to where a lot of people don't want to pay their running backs. Look at Jonathan Taylor. When he had to fight and scratch and claw to get a,
but we're not in that situation with Gibbs. He's still freaking young, man. I mean,
not yet. We better hope and pray he stays healthy because running backs takes a lot of.
That's anybody, dude. Jalen Carter could tear his ACL before the season starts, and then he turns into a bum.
Knock on wood. I pray to God Gibbs stay healthy and is the best running back ever.
But the point is.
Hold on now. Like when we talk about offensive players and defensive players, like the skill positions is a lot different. Like Jalen Carter can suffer an injury as long as it's not like really catastrophic, like a broken leg, damaged nerves and stuff like that. He can rebound, like we expect Aiden Hutchinson to rebound. But can a running back bounce back and be the same person?
I don't know, man. The younger they are, they recover quicker. I don't know. But here's the thing.
You know how
here's the
love to juke.
I know, dude, but.
They start
but if you're asking me, if I'd rather have Gibbs or Carter, I'll take Gibbs. Okay, that's my opinion. You can take Carter all you want. I'll take Gibbs. Gibbs is going to be a superstar. That's all I'm saying.
We got two running backs that are supposed to be really good coming out this season. My man from North Carolina and Alshon Jeffrey. You got two running backs.
But we haven't seen them play in the NFL yet. We don't know what they're going to do. We've seen what Gibbs can do, and in a part-time role.
Point taken. I get it. We don't know who they are, what they're going to do, but I mean, we got the best offensive line in the league right now.
And let me go back.
Them to do good things.
Okay, let me talk for a second. Let me go back to your argument on the D line and drafting, because that seems to be your problem. Your problem is that Brad has not hit on draft picks in the D line. Okay, and that's a fair assessment. Okay, a lot of teams don't hit on draft picks in later rounds consistently. It's probably one of the hardest evaluations to make. Like, you got to think about that. Like, if you're in the top 10 or you're top 20 or you're first round, you're more likely going to be a pretty good defensive end or lineman or tackle because you're projected to go in the first round. If you find somebody down in the later fourth or third or fifth rounds, that's a steal. Okay? The tops are pretty given that those were all the dudes that are going to go. After that, dude, you don't know. Now, can we say that maybe Brad picked the wrong player? Sure, we can say that. It happens.
Yeah.
He might have picked the wrong player.
Picked a couple wrong players.
But was it the wrong idea to go that position? No, it wasn't.
I definitely think it was wrong to go after somebody like Broderick Martin. Why pick him? You didn't even.
But dude, he was a later pick. He was like the third or fourth pick.
He traded up to get Broderick Martin. Nate is what I'm telling you. He traded. He gave up,
and he's still on the roster. Who the hell knows? He could ball out this year. Nobody knows what's going to happen with him.
This is going to be his third year in the league right here. He may not even make the team. Can we agree that this dude may not even make the team?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay, so you want to trade up for a guy that possibly won't even make the team? Come on, man. Come on, dude. Mono Ginobili. you need. Okay. Okay. Everybody you draft is not always going to be a starter. J2. Well,
you need depth players. Could Broderick Martin turn? Okay. Could Broderick Martin turn into a depth player? Yes, he could. Okay. Could he actually be off the team? Yes, he could.
If you really believe that, I got the New York Bridge. I can sell you for $1.
Bro,
New York Bridge,
here's the thing, Jay. If they didn't believe in Broderick Martin, they would have already let him go or traded him already.
Nah, that's not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Well, what else are they holding him for?
Because, like I say, when it came crunch time with a lot of people.
Yeah, no shit. Brian Holes never hits on picks. That's why they had to go free agency all the time. Yeah.
And that's a great point. Wait a minute. That's a great point right there. Because the problem I see with Brad Holmes is that he knows he doesn't know how to draft defensive ends, which is ironic because, like Brett said earlier, he was a defensive line player, but he doesn't know how to hit on defensive line players. I'm talking about D-line. I'm not talking about the linebackers. I'm not talking about safeties and corners.
Yes.
Defensive line. So what he tries to do, he tries to fix his inadequacy by getting free agents.
Well, you have to.
Crap.
Yeah, you have to.
But those are crap free agents. You don't draft. I mean, you don't get a free agent that's fucking hurt 18 million times a fucking
But you're
season.
talking one player in Davenport.
Nate, remember
arguments on Davenport.
There's a whole bunch of players on that defense that get hurt more than what. Brad Holmes likes to get free agents that have a hurt past. That's what I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. Emmanuel Mosley was another guy. He stayed injured in San Francisco. That's why they didn't sign him back.
But before the second injury, Emmanuel Mosley was a guy that if he was healthy, he was going to be a playmaker for this defense because he was on pace to be Defensive Player of the Year in San Francisco before he tore his ACL.
Yes,
he was making plays left and right. Can we agree to that?
No.
Who's that? Okay. Well, I don't know what you were watching.
He was pretty good.
Because he was making picks and fumbles and all that. And like,
who's that?
Pretty good, but if we
Mosley.
Remember, he was good with San Francisco, but he still had.
He was on pace to be Defensive Player of the Year before he tore his ACL at San Francisco.
Like the people they were looking at were like Jaquiski Tartt, right? Those were like some of the people over there that they were loving.
All I'm saying is that Emmanuel Mosley was on pace to be a really good player for the 49ers before he tore his ACL, and then they moved off from him.
What is with Brad Holmes and these injured free agents?
Dude, a lot of GMs draft injured players, man. Like, you have to understand that if a player...
Free agents, not draftees. Free agents.
Same thing. Listen.
Who out here suffering catastrophic injuries and getting these contracts? And getting other contracts on top of that.
Well, okay. Well, Emmanuel Mosley hasn't gotten another contract, so we can't say that yet. Okay.
Emmanuel Mosley.
He's gotten 2 in a row.
Look,
yeah, but they're paying him nothing. Like, y'all act like he's getting paid like a bag or something. He's getting paid.
It's not about the pay at the point. It's about a roster spot. You put somebody in that roster spot that can do something, man. The money don't make a difference.
I don't know what y'all want to do with this roster. Like, you can't have a perfect roster. Like, y'all are wanting like a starter at every.
You don't have to have a perfect roster.
You just give the.
But the point of the matter is, you got to make sound decisions about certain positions you're not adequate in drafting in. This is the reason why Bill Belichick, back when he had Tom Brady, who the fuck did he get off the free agency? Randy Moss. Because he can't draft a fucking receiver. He knows this.
Yeah.
This is the same thing that Howie does. He knows he can't draft a fucking receiver. That's why he got Brown.
If you have either way, if you clean up your mess, whether you clean up the draft or free agency, as long as you take care of it. I mean, the Lions had a good D-line before the injuries went down. Like
Brad Holmes, you're acting like this defense was top 15 at the beginning of the season. It wasn't. This is a maturation process that you guys don't understand. That defense wasn't shit still. This is the reason why
they were good in other categories B that mattered the most.
This is the reason why AG made sure the defense played well on third down and they played really good in a red zone defense because they knew they were going to get up a lot of yards.
Yes.
Statistically, they were the worst. And they were still bad at the beginning of the season.
They give up 3 yards a game.
I'd rather a defense
as long as they stop them on third down when it mattered and in the end zone.
Exactly. I'd rather a defense be good in scoring, holding points under, third down defense, and red zone defense. If you're good in all those categories, you can win on defense.
I want to talk about something, another wasted draft pick. Kobe Sorsdal, like the guy just said, I forgot his name. Kobe Sorsdal. Okay, I would even say, like, hey, we all thought he had a lot of potential. I didn't know, he was going to come in and stink the way he did. But what about that guy, Giovanni Manu? We don't even know where he played at or where he come from. All we know is he's a big body guy and he's a project and he's got a former all-pro training.
And it's okay to draft players that you got to develop. You got one of the best O-line coaches in Hank Fraley. What's wrong with that?
Why are we?
Because you're always bitching about how old Taylor Decker is and how we need a replacement.
Well, you can go out and draft somebody this year, Nate. You don't have to go out and
maybe. Where are we drafting? Exactly. Where are you going to find a starting tackle at 30?
Somebody in the second round. You can get someone in the second round.
And if he's not the guy, then you miss on a pick. It happens, man. You got to understand.
No, Nate. What you're misunderstanding, what I'm saying is, Nate, is that the Detroit Lions, specifically Brad Holmes, go out and get these project players. Get somebody that you know about.
A lot of GMs get project players, man.
I want to see how I can play this, how I can coach this guy. You want to get somebody that plays. You want to see a lineman that gets off the ball and stay at pad level. You want to see how they move their feet. lateral movements. You don't pull up a Manu Giovanni highlight clip of it in college or wherever he played at now. Can't do it. Pull up his college profile. Can't do it. You absolutely know nothing about Manu Giovanni or Giovanni Manu until he came here. Till he came to the Detroit Lions.
Because he's gonna need development. But here's the thing.
In the NFL.
Okay. Stop for a second. Okay, stop.
Bro.
I'll give you Levi and I'll give you Pascal because they were second round picks. Those are hard to swallow because outside of the first, the second round, those are paramount. Usually first and third are where you can get your starters. Outside of that, who gives a shit? You're not going to hit on a lot of those players. Once in a while, you'll find an Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Where was Kirby Joseph drafted?
Like I said, once in a while, you'll find somebody. I want you to, if you want to do some research, what did I just say? If you do your research and you look up hitting, I don't think they even have a stat on this. I'd have to find out. The hits and misses past the third round, I guarantee you there's probably a hell of a lot more misses than there are hits. The point is what I'm trying to say is that yes, he messed up on Pascal. Yes, he messed up on Levi. Okay, yes, I agree with you on that.
Manu. Yes, he messed up.
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because all those dudes were drafted later on down the line. That's a crapshoot, dude. If that's who you want to pick and that's who you had on your board, so be it.
I can't say that because look at Hendon Hooker, right? Hendon Hooker, we expected Hendon Hooker to come in and do good things, right? Yes, we all did.
I didn't know what to expect, dude. The guy never played under center.
I thought if they taking the quarterback in the fourth round, obviously that must mean he's going to come in and do something big, especially a guy of Hendon Hooker's like status.
When you had Goff at the quarterback position, you thought he was going to do something big?
Who went directly after Hendon Hooker? Who was the pick right after Hendon Hooker? Do anybody know?
Who?
Tank Dell. We were out here looking for a third.
The one that's fighting for his career.
Well, I mean, he's
injury prone.
Now. That was a freak accident.
He's been injury prone, bro. Even if Houston was like
whoa, time out, Nate. He got shot.
Yeah, okay. That's even better. He got shot. Yeah,
he tore his ACL and stuff like that, but that was a freak accident.
I'm sorry, man. Your arguments are not valid. If you're arguing Tank Dell over Hendon Hooker, no. Because we already have J-Mo. We already have St. Brown. Why the hell do we need Tank Dell?
But Tank Dell is not a number one wide receiver, Nate.
It doesn't matter. Why do we need Tank Dell when we have Amon-Ra St. Brown and we have Leaf?
Well, why do we need J-Mo if we got Amon-Ra St. Brown? Why do we need Tim Patrick if we got Amon-Ra St. Brown? Why do we need Khalif Raymond?
But that's not what I'm saying. Is I'm saying that we've had the receivers already. Why are you going to take Tank Dell when you already have the guys?
Last year, not the season that just passed, but last year, who was our three receivers?
Leaf, J-Mo, and St. Brown.
So you mean to tell me Khalif is better than Tank Dell?
I mean, they like Khalif a lot, dude. He does a lot for this thing. He's a special teamer, too.
You, Nate. I said, is he better than Tank Dell?
I don't know, dude. I like Khalif Raymond. I'm a big fan of Khalif Raymond.
Bro,
you might not be, but I am.
Nate, are we really being honest here? Because
I'm being honest with you, dude. I like Khalif Raymond. He does a lot for this team.
Tank Dell is a number 2 receiver. He only took a back seat. I don't even think he took a back seat when Stephon Diggs got there in Houston. He may have.
Okay, so at that same time, do you think Tank Dell is better than J-Mo?
In my opinion, I do think he's better than J-Mo.
No, hell no.
In my opinion, hell yeah, I think he's better than. I think J-Mo's faster and more dynamic, but more consistent. Yeah, I'll take Tank Dell any day of the week. Shall we compare and contrast?
Jay, if you were a GM, I feel like your team would be a full all-star team. Because that's all that you focus all your attention on is all-stars. Everybody that you want is all big names. Big names don't always win you everything. You have to have a mixture of both.
Projects on my team if that was the case.
This ain't the NBA, man. It's not a star-driven league. It's a team league.
Let me say this to end all that kind of stuff that you guys are talking about because you're both going in two different separate areas. First of all, teams draft and they get free agents based on what their schemes are. Yeah. Amon St. Brown manages to be one of the top 5 receivers. Is he better than Justin Jefferson or Chase? Hell the fuck no, he ain't. As physicality and as getting yards and being open like that, that's not his game. Okay, that's not Amon's game. But he is out there. He is a good receiver, right? He works for the Lions. It works for what the Lions are running.
I think he's
on top of it. Every team has their guys that they like. Khalif Raymond, That dude proved to you twice against Tennessee that he can outrun coverage. Dude is a star.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still got Patrick. It's all about the different things that you put in it. The main focus that we're getting off of is that what you got to do is defensive line. Brad Holmes does not know how to draft a defensive line.
No,
and when he knows this, he's smart enough to know this, but the problem is he's not smart enough to understand if you're going to replace somebody you can't draft well, then you need to replace them with somebody who's going to be impactful. DeMarcus Lawrence is not impactful. Sorry,
but that's the problem is that
and then you get rid of the guy that can be impactful in Smith. So you basically are screwing yourself. And that's
right now
that's a bad problem. I'm not talking about anybody else on this team. I'm not talking about nobody else on the team.
Yeah. But right now,
you have a weakness. It's just like Bill Belichick. No. When you have Bill Belichick, what did they always say about Bill Belichick? He can't draft a fucking receiver to save his life. That's why he kept having nickel and dime. And unfortunately, Tom Brady was a good enough quarterback to include Amendola. Really? I mean,
Amendola,
these are receivers. But Tampa. Hey, Brad Brady made them guys.
Okay.
If you put them on any other team, they ain't crap.
I'm gonna wrap this up, y'all. But I'm gonna say one thing to you, B, because you brought up a great point, and I agree with you. But you also proved the point. It's all about the culture. It's about the fit. It's about the scheme. GMs do not go to free agency or the draft and think like we got to take always the best player to make our team better. No. Brad has said it. Dan has said it. No, they haven't. They have said we're going to take the right player. When they say the right player, that means whoever fits their culture, whoever fits their scheme, whoever fits their system. We might not see that because the reality is
I agree.
Yeah. The reality is that we see things in a different lens. We're not GMs. We're not scouts. We don't see what they see. Okay. All we see is what we see on TV or what we hear or whatever it is. But Brad has a culture that he has developed in his drafting status and free agent status, just like Howie Roseman has, Rhett Beach, all the top GMs. They all have a certain thing that they looking forward to. Now, does Brad maybe need to adjust some things? Certainly, yes, he does. I think, because the team is winning now more, and it's now the war win mode than it is now an acquisition mode. Like the last 3 years, we can all agree that the Lions were acquiring players to make a roster complete. Now that has been pretty much done, now it's about finding the right pieces to complete the puzzle.
He ain't done it yet.
He
ain't made the moves too. None of the last 3 trade deadlines, nothing big, nothing impactful.
You're not going to get a lot off the trade deadline in the first place. Usually the off season is you're not going to get a lot off the trade deadline most of the time.
We're going to have a couple guys off of the trade deadline.
But again, Jay, but you're missing the point, Jay. You think that a trade is you're thinking a trade is one-sided. You're thinking that the Lions want to make a deal. Okay, it's a done deal.
Listen, what did the Bears give up for Montez Sweat?
I don't know. What?
Wasn't it a 5th rounder?
I didn't want Montez Sweat. Dude, what has Montez Sweat done in the last couple of seasons?
Nate.
What has he done? Answer the question. How many sacks did he have last year?
The best pass rushers in the North. What are you talking about?
The best pass rusher in the North.
Who's better than him besides Hutchinson?
What about Van Ginkel on the Vikings?
I
would take Van Ginkel over his ass.
Van Ginkel,
Rashawn Gary, you're freaking Michigan.
And there's a few players that are better than Montez Sweat.
I think that's.
But see, you're playing right back into the whole situation because you're saying that you're not getting good free. So what was the draw for DeMarcus Lawrence? The dude was always injured. What the fuck? I don't understand that whole situation. Do you understand that whole situation? Why would you get a player and Mosley? Why not cut him after the second year?
You mean
you should have cut his ass?
You said DeMarcus Lawrence.
ACL he got,
but I'm talking about when you get people that
ACL. I'm like, dude, you got to be fucking kidding me. And he hasn't done anything. It's just like The thing that makes
that's
me
true.
mad
That's
is,
true.
and one
That's true,
thing I
Brent.
gotta
They
say-
do
one thing I
value
gotta
that
say,
for sure.
How long y'all going to be on really quick? Because I can come back. Just give me like 15, 20 minutes.
I'm gonna have to roll too. We're gonna have to wrap this up.
Really quick,
I'm
I just
expecting my
want to say
son to
this.
come on in a minute. So.
I just want to say this really quick. We as Lions fans have become very cocky because we had great seasons. You know what I mean? We have done some great things with some great
I
players.
wouldn't say cocky.
We definitely have. I'm guilty of it myself.
I'm not cocky. I'm just confident in this team.
Expecting a lot of things, not really knowing and understanding where the team is going and seeing Brad.
I know where this team is going. We're a
Look
couple
at
of
this,
pieces away from being right there. Like we're not that far behind.
Last year, I have to say this. What we did last year doesn't matter. 15-2 is gone. We're not that same team. Different coaching staff. You know.
Yeah, just like the Eagles are the same
Who
way.
says
The
that
Eagles also
Henderson
have a
isn't
lot of
that
losses.
piece?
Say that again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who said it's Hendrickson is not that piece?
Man,
He better be that piece if you give him 30 million.
Look, let me tell you something. I said when Campbell got this job and this regime took over, Sheila took over this regime, that they have 5 years to get into a Super Bowl. They came close twice.
Yep.
And why do you say 5 years?
And that's early before the 5 years, because
Why
this is a Lions team. 5 years is just what I'm saying. 5 years. You give players 3 years to develop. Then when they develop into
I would
better
say as long as we
players,
have Goff on the team, that's the extension. Because when you lose your quarterback, that's when you have to reset everything.
Well, no.
Not necessarily.
Because quarterbacks can suck at a later time. They can digress immensely.
Well, that's what
What
I'm
I'm saying is that, but see, when I say 5 years, that means this whole coaching regime in the front office, they have to draft properly, get free agents properly, and they would have done that by 5 years. They would get this stuff done, and they would be competing for a Super Bowl. And everybody wants to talk about Howie and stuff like that. That motherfucker's been in 3 Super Bowls in 8 years and won 2 of them. So he didn't have that. He didn't have that luxury. Yeah, in between those 8 years, he did have a couple of bad seasons, but that's regrouping. That's what that's called.
Yep.
Regrouping.
Yeah.
And that's what the Lions need to understand. You can't be 15-2. I mean, where they're going to go past 15-2? They're going to digress now.
They are.
Because now you got them. They ain't going to go 15-2 next season, especially with the competition we have in here.
But the thing should be is just getting into the dance. That's the main thing.
Look at how
no, not for us. Not for the Lions. The Lions got to win the Super Bowl, man. We're one of the longest organizations.
But you got to start somewhere. You got to get.
And
to
we
the
did
dance
start
first.
somewhere. It's called year 1 of this regime. It's it's year 5 now.
But you're missing what I'm saying. You have to get to the playoffs by winning the division. Once you win the division, you're in the playoffs. Then you'll host a playoff game, and then you go from there. Yeah, a Super Bowl is the end goal, no doubt about that. But you got to start first by winning the division. You win the division, you're a lock to the playoffs. Or you just
have to be in the playoffs and actually make it to the dance, right? Because that's just how it goes, right?
Sure.
And I think you're giving them a little bit too much grace, because if you look at teams, they only get a couple years worth of a Super Bowl window. And if it closes, it closes. Look at Buffalo. Buffalo was good a couple years ago. Then they struggled in the playoffs, and then they made it to the AFC Championship game again. Look at how many Super Bowls the fucking Vikings played in. They haven't played for a Super Bowl in decades. It only happens every once in a while. The Lions been close twice. Yeah. You blew the fucking lead in San Francisco. A lot of people forgave you for that. You went 15-2. The only lay an egg to the Washington Commanders team.
Yeah, no doubt. The expectation is the Super Bowl. There's no doubt about that.
All these people, extensions and stuff like that. You can't have seasons like that. You need to win. You need to be on the top. The Lions, it's just like they're right there, but they're not making the necessary moves.
What's scary?
That's what I was saying. Go ahead, my bad, Nate.
All I'm saying is what kind of scares me about this Lions team is that I feel like this Lions team could very well be like the Niners were. Like the Niners made 6 NFC championships, made it to the Super Bowl a couple times, didn't win the game.
We have to first.
They're stacked rosters.
We have to first.
They had all the talent.
We have to get there first before.
I know. I'm just saying. Yeah.
We have to make it to our first one first. And, that's why we say when we talk about these long-term extensions and who we're going to bring back and stuff like that, man, let that time come when it comes. Let's worry about what's happening now.
They are focused on what's happening now. You reward your best players. You want to keep them on your roster because that you keep your best
2%.
players on your roster.
I got 2%, fellas. Hey,
yeah,
it's been a pleasure. I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure, fellas. Y'all.
Yeah, you too, bud.
Let's do it again when we on again.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, next week get
Be real quick before we wrap up. Go ahead and let them know where they can find us.
Well, they've been seeing a scroll at the bottom of the screen there. Subscribe to our social media platforms on YouTube, Instagram, X, and the Huddle Sports Network, something separate, and TikTok. So go on those. Subscribe to this. Brent, as always, buddy.
Yeah,
thank you for supporting us.
In, Brett. Appreciate it, Sonia. Thank you for coming in.
Brett's been all in our comments. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Brett, spread the word, Brett.
And
spread the word.
Personally, I want to thank y'all too. You know what I'm saying, for all the work y'all put in and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all do an amazing job. You know what I'm saying. Keep up the good work to both of y'all. Love talking this football stuff.
Yeah, man.
Broski Bear and Will also thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you to everybody that contributes to our show. Y'all the best.
Yep. Subscribe. Do subscribe. I'm not begging y'all. I'm just asking. I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe if y'all want.
Yeah, and we're working. Yeah, and we're working on getting some new things going on and all that. So we'll kind of keep you updated with everything. We've got some great ideas going forward for the show. Maybe some merch ideas, some stuff we want to do, giveaways, stuff like that for subscribers. So yeah, thank you, Brent, again for chiming with us and listening to us rant and rave. It's always fun. But we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Next show will be Sunday at 3 Central Time, 4 Eastern Time, and we'll have. I guess it'll just be us, right? Pretty much, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Unless we get more people to come out.
Yeah, we're working on some ideas, so yeah, I'll be us. But yeah, thank you, fellas, for coming on. Jay, B, it's always good seeing y'all, man. We're back. Let's keep it going. Go Lions. And as always, fuck the Packers, fuck the Green Bay, or fuck the Vikings, and fuck the Bears. And we're out.
Peace.